Where my man at?
That's a long time.
No, it ain't. No, it ain't. All right, y'all. We give praise, esteem, and honor to the living Elohim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Going to John 5:39, man. Search the scriptures for any of you think you have eternal life, and there they was testified me. You will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe but receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you. The Abba, there's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words? Hallelujah for Yahushua and the word. Shalom, Sister Kelly. Isaiah 65 and 17. Say, for behold, I create a new Shamahim and a new Arat. And the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind. But be you glad and rejoice forever, which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing, and her people a joy. So, shalom, man. Tavon has said. So, what we was at, man? What? 1 Samuel 23? Yeah, that was one. Let me knock this King Cave of Adullam out the box, man. Oh, what? 1 Samuel 23? It was 22. Yeah, it was 22. 1 Samuel 22 and 1. That was a war. Say, David therefore departed from thence and escaped to the cave Adullam. And his brethren and all his father's house heard. They went down to the tomb. Shalom, Tia and Jay. So, y'all remember what Adullam means? Who can tell me what Adullam means? What's up, cuz? What's up, man? You in my baby chair? You got some baby snacks? You gonna break bread with him? You know what I'm saying? He ain't gonna break bread with the baby snacks. Y'all don't remember what the cave Adullam mean? Come on, man. Y'all slacking on your macking. You ain't tight with your pimp. And hit the likes up on YouTube, by the way. What they end up doing to that baby? Cave of justice, or justice of the people. That's what Adullam meant. Let's take a look at this here, right? First Samuel 22 and 2. Everyone in distress, everyone that was in debt, everyone discontented, gathered themselves unto him, and he became captain over them. Shalom, Brother Renner. And there were with him about 400 men. So, just to remind you, discontented, debt, all those things. Let's take back another look at it. Distress, we already talked about that. That's everyone that is mashak and straightness and distress and anguish. We looked at that, what you call it? Slow on, Brother Ellis. What you call that, John? We looked at that Matthew 11, but I want to take you back to Philippians, though. So come back over here to Philippians 4, if I'm not mistaken. I just want to reiterate that Philippians, though. Philippians chapter 4, y'all. Make it verse 6. It says, be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be known unto Elohim. Let's look at careful so y'all can understand what that's elucidating to. And this is just to bring stuff to your remembrance, because it ain't been that long since we talked about it. But remember this here, right? It is Miri Imanahu. That is to be anxious or to be troubled with cares. So remember, we just looked at that 1 Samuel 22 and say everybody who came to him in that cave, that's Michael. Or at least probably one and two. It said everyone who was distressed came to him and made him their leader. You understand? So this Philippians is telling us not to be anxious or troubled. If you recall in the parable of the sower, it's 4 types of people. And one of them was those who were caught up with the cares and affairs of this life. You've been all right? I heard you was on suicide watch. Suicide watch. Your screen time been up more than usual? That's not what I asked you. I said your screen time. You know what screen time I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about. You know your phone give you an update every Sunday on your screen time. Yeah, I know your screen time is at high levels right now. No. Just stay on here with me. I look at your hoodie. Mm-hmm. Wow. It's all right. You need mental health? You need to talk to somebody? I don't know. We're trying to make sure you ain't got no separation anxiety. Make sure you. I don't. At first, I do, but as time go by, I didn't want to make sure you wasn't at the house singing "Separated." You know what I'm saying? All that good old stuff. There's a little John around here talking about. Tavon say I seen it for myself. Screen, no combo. He didn't. I just said y'all be doing that when he here. Yeah, you probably forgot. Hold on, Lil John. I got you, man. So remember, right? That verse 6, right? Don't be anxious for anything. If you remember in Jeremiah 17, right? He talked about a tree. Let me just bring this back to your mind. What they doing to my baby? She probably changing her clothes. Boy, that baby don't like to change her clothes. Jeremiah 17. Come over here to 17 and 7, y'all. Baruch the man that trusts in Yahuwah, whose hope Yahuwah is. For he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, spread out her roots by the river, and shall not see when heat come. But her leaf shall be green and shall not be careful in the year of drought, neither shall cease from yielding fruit. If you remember that not be careful in the year of drought, that not be careful in Hebrew translates to no anxiety. So again, everybody who had anguish and anxiety, and remember we were looking at the Matthew 11, coming to me all you that are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. So Paul is coming back into Philippians 4, and he's talking to you about what? Don't be anxious for anything. He said, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be known unto Elohim. So he's saying whatever it is that you anxious or stressed about, we done went to 1 Samuel 22, Jeremiah 17 and 7, and right now we in Philippians chapter 4. So what did that mean, right? Remember he said the one who can't bring forth fruit is because the cares and affairs of this life choke off the word and he can't bring forth no fruit. So what did that mean? When you get caught up, yes, sir. When you get caught up in trying to live life and get the deceitfulness of riches and all that, that's where the stress and anxiousness come from. So now that's not to say that's what was going on in 1 Samuel 22, but it said everybody who came to the justice of the people or came to that cave that had stress, they came to him to make him be the leader over them. Shalom, Misha. See, and we were talking about it earlier, this is a big problem. And I was telling the brother this earlier. Brother asked this in the Lapid group I'm in, man. He was like, is there a difference between male-raised men and non-male-raised men? And I say, like, just dealing with the word, you could tell there's a difference. We done had this conversation. There's a difference of men who've been around men and men who haven't. As far as the respecting of authority. You know what I'm saying? Now, Tia, we just in the room having this conversation, right? I don't hold to this here. Y'all know this here, right? I tell you read the word for yourself, right? I tell you study what somebody teach you, right? But you still gonna have to have somebody teach you. That's the protocol and order that he set. You know what I'm saying? I just had this conversation with somebody in another room earlier in the week when he was talking about Isaiah 42 and what a servant is. And we could discuss that also, because Lil Johnny asked about that last week, didn't he? Any ad about that? We talk about that too. You know what I'm saying? But this the thing though. There's a hierarchy and there's an order. There's a structure. Because at the end of the day, you can't teach yourself the word. You can't be an autodidact with the word. I know people like to tell us that, but you can't. You know what I'm saying? You can't teach yourself the word. You can't self-teach yourself the word because this is not like any other vocation in life. This ain't like learning how to play a piano. You understand? This ain't like learning how to fix a sink. You know what I'm saying? There ain't no YouTube video you can watch to figure that out. That's got to be given to you from on high. And when I say that, meaning that it's been given to a man, and then that man teach others, or Yahuwah give it to you directly. If Yahuwah give it to you directly, you're operating at a higher level, and everybody's not apostles. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's not apostles. That's just what it is. Because the book tell you this here. Let's look at it. Romans 10. This is a matter of fact, because I think somebody asked me this. What was that when we had this conversation? I can't remember. I know I just said this the other day, right? I think that was mine that asked me that. Like, about, that's what it was. He asked, do I have a problem with y'all listening to other people? I say, yay, grown. I can't tell y'all who you can and can't listen to. But what do I tell you? Make sure they know what they're talking about and who you're supposed to be listening for. Supposed to be listening for his voice. Because you know what? If I tell you not to listen to somebody else, it's somebody else who could be using who got a word, and now I'm denying you from hearing the word. See, if you a lover for the word, you're going to have a discerning to know who got the word and who don't.
And make sure they're not
seeking their own esteem. But because the word doesn't belong exclusively to me. That's why he say as he said, have many counselors but one teacher. You know, because it's a dangerous thing if you're going from person to person and you can get confused. So I understand why people say that. You know what I'm talking about? But I can't tell grown people what to do. What, I'm gonna come up in your house? You've been listening to other people. You know what I'm saying? What type of punishment or reproof could you give to somebody for doing that? You know how many prophets was in the land back in the days? You know how many Levite priests were in a particular land teaching the people? No, you can't do that. But you're supposed to be listening for the shepherd's voice. You know what I'm saying? What we get caught up at is we not listening for the shepherd's voice. Remember what did the Lord say? He that is of Elohim hears Elohim's words. He said, you hear them not because you're not an Elohim. You know what I'm saying? So you're supposed to be listening. See, that's the problem. We're not listening for his voice. So when you're not listening for his voice, you could get caught up. You know what I'm saying? Now, we had a conversation earlier, and you know, I warned y'all about this here, man. When you fresh in the word, that's probably the most dangerous time for you to get deceived. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't really know it. You know what I'm saying? So that's why, and I would say this here, this would be my advice. If y'all know anybody who fresh in the word, because y'all know, I could be in a room with people, don't even tell them I preach. I could talk to them about the word, don't even say, oh yeah, I preach the word. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I don't do none of that. But the best advice I can tell you to give somebody is this. If you're not sure if somebody got the word, you need to be praying and seeking Yahuwah's face to make that plain if they got it or not. And not just take off and run behind them because they share information to you that's new. This is male or female. That's the best advice I can give you. You know what I'm talking about? Because if you don't really know the word, and this is not to say that people can come out and necessarily be trying to manipulate you, but there's a lot of trash can teachers out here. So you could get caught up in a doctrine for 2, 3, 4 years before you realize that you was dealing with something that's going to cost you your soul. You know what I'm talking about? It's a very dangerous place to be if you don't latch on to some good work off the top. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you guard your heart, you guard your, you know what I'm saying? You guard your soul, and you listen for the voice of the Lord and not be focused on men. Should you have read the whole book before accepting a teacher and be guided by? I won't necessarily say that. I would say listen for the voice of the Lamb. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gonna know when you hear him. See, a lot of times we get caught up because people saying precepts. I'm talking about listen for his voice. Let me show you. You ready? You look like you're tired. You been up all night? Good. Give me Jeremiah 31. Let me show you what I'm talking about. After that, Hosea chapter 2. Let me show you what I'm talking about while I'm saying what I'm saying. Give me Jeremiah 31:1. Listen to it.
It say, at the same time, says Yahuwah, will I be the Elohim of all the families of Yasharal, and they shall be my people.
That's right.
Thus says Yahuwah, the people left of the sword found grace in the wilderness.
They found what?
Grace in the wilderness.
See, the people left for the sword, they found mercy in the wilderness. Listen to him.
Yasharal, when I went to cause him to rest.
What did he say after that?
Yahuwah have appeared of old unto me.
He said what?
Yea, I love thee
With an everlasting love. Listen to him.
Therefore, with loving kindness have I drawn you.
With what?
Loving kindness have I drawn you.
With what?
Loving kindness.
So that's one of the first points that you would need to be paying attention to listen to. He said, I'm going to draw you with loving kindness. Now, let me know if it's kased or rakam there, please, good sir. It's kased. That's kindness. That's goodness. That's faithfulness. So that's what he going to draw you with. You understand? So if it's not coming with the goodness, faithfulness, and mercy of Yahuwah, that ain't him. That's what he said he gonna draw you. That's what he said, man. Now come over here to Hosea chapter 2, man. Pick me up at verse 9, man. I'm gonna just go you in the text. Because look here, man. My desire is that everybody be saved. I know niggas be out here lying. You know what I'm saying? I know niggas out here got bad dope. God forbid any of y'all get caught up in that. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, everybody who is on this stream, I don't even know who Mike Todd is, Dre. I ain't even gonna lie to you. Everybody that's in this clubhouse room, I ain't come to none of y'all and say, hey man, come listen to me. Come check out what we doing. You heard the word, and then what was being preached, that touched your heart. And you say, boy, that's God talking. I need to get some more of that. That ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't go out and recruit nobody. I don't tell nobody, come check out what we doing. Most of y'all who on YouTube right now, somebody else, it either popped up in your recommendations, you know what I'm talking about? Or somebody told you, check this out. Now, see, the difference between us and others is you can holler at me, though. You know what I'm talking about? You could be online and be like this here, hey, man, shalom, Yahshua, man. Hey, bro, I need to holler at you. You can holler at me, man. You know what I'm saying? But now, man, we ain't going out recruiting nobody. We ain't got to. The word do the recruit. You know what I'm talking about? I ain't got to run no ads. I ain't, praise God. Sister Kelly said it popped up in her recommend. I ain't got to run. We ain't doing no marketing. Only reason we ask for the likes, for the opportunity, if you who will allow for it to pop up in somebody's recommendation. Do you know what I'm saying? She said during tabernacle. That's the only reason why I asked for y'all to hit the like button. So if the Lord allow, it can pop up in somebody's recommendations like Sister Kelly talking about. And if they get to work, they get to work. Because whoever here, they here because Yahuwah wanted you to be here. That's it. We ain't going out looking for nobody. Let some street preaching, that's different. You know what I'm saying? We're going to go out here looking. But I ain't did that in a long time. You know what I'm saying? Hosea 2:10.
It says, and now I will discover her lewdness in the sight of her lovers. None shall deliver her out of my hand. I will also cause her mirth to cease, her feast days, her new moons, and her Sabbath, and all her solemn feasts.
That's right.
I will destroy her vines and her figs, whereas she has said, these are my reward that my lovers have given me. I will make them a forest, and the beasts of the field shall eat them. And I will visit upon her the days of Baalim, wherein she burned incense to them, and she decked herself with earrings and jewels.
That's right.
And went after her lovers and forgot me, said Yahuwah.
Now I want y'all to listen to verse 14 and listen what he say. Listen to him.
It say, therefore, behold, I will allure her.
He will do what?
Allure her.
And bring her where?
Bring her to the wilderness.
And he gonna do what?
Speak comfortably.
I want every one of y'all to have the ability to look up that word comfortably and speak comfortably in Hebrew and see what it say and see what he say he gonna talk to. Just look it up and see what he say. Give him a Lord by definition while they doing that. I just want y'all, I'm going to mention it if you don't have the ability, but I want those who have the ability to look that up to look that up.
That's patah. That is to open a mental or moral sense.
So he going to open your heart, open your mind. You understand? That's Hosea 2:14, Dre.
Persuade, entice.
To persuade or entice. And when you look that speak comfortably up in Hebrew, you're going to see that he say he going to speak to your heart. That's what it say, don't it? You see lay up there, don't you? He say he gonna speak to your heart. That's how you gonna know if that word is in that person's mouth, because that word supposed to touch your heart. And I ain't talking about touch your heart in an emotional fashion. I'm talking about touch your heart that Yahuwah talking to you, that you hear his voice. That's the two things. That's the best advice I can give you. If they're not drawing you with love and kindness, and that word ain't touching your heart, remember what they said on Pentecost when Peter went to preach. What them people said? They were pricked in their heart. You know what I'm talking about? That means that word spoke straight to their mind. They were convicted in their mind. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying that every single solitary preaching that you hear going to convict you in your mind. What I'm saying is that it's going to touch your heart. Because he said, I'm going to persuade you and entice you by speaking to your mind. That's why you see Paul in 2 Corinthians chapter 5 say, we knowing the terror of the Lord, we persuade men. You know what I'm talking about? So if that word ain't touching your heart, that probably trash can dope, man. It's probably trash can dope. Because one thing for certain, two things for sure, man. Y'all grown. And you know what I say? You can listen to whoever, because I'm not guaranteed to be here, and I don't have a monopoly on the word. You know what I'm talking about? You know why I don't have a monopoly on the word, Doris? Because the word was here before I was born. It was here before I knew what it meant. It's going to be here when I'm dead. You know what I'm talking about? So therefore, it's not my word. I didn't teach him in the way of understanding. I didn't show him knowledge. So there's no way that one man can have a monopoly on it. And if you hear somebody talking about they got a monopoly on it, then you know God ain't with them, walk away. You know what I'm saying? See, you had to get to the point, we got to stop being stupid. Now, see, we were talking about this. I was talking to Cud about this here, man. Because he was talking about certain stuff these Hebrew niggas be doing at these gatherings that niggas be having a problem with. And I told him something, right? When I first got in the word, you know, my homeboy is the one put me down. So I'm like this here, like, I'm looking in the word and I'm seeing like, yo, this ain't going to be nothing different than what we seen in the street. As far as how people move. So I didn't have these ideas like, oh, we in the word, niggas ain't going to do this and niggas ain't going to do that. And everybody going to love you and everybody going to be solid. Because, boy, we been in the street, boy, and niggas backdoored niggas. You understand what I'm telling you? Dudes turning. You see it with Judas? Judas is the greatest example of a backdoor. He backdoored the Lord for what? 30 pieces of silver. He backdoored him. You know what I'm talking about? And he was with him every day. Ain't that what Psalm 55 said? He said, this was my familiar friend. Say we walked in sweet company in the council of Elohim. Even went in the temple of God and he snaked me. Psalms 50 said, oh, you thought I was altogether like you while you slandered your mother's brother. You thought I was a goofy like you. He said, but now I'm going to prove you to your face. So me knowing that, the stuff that niggas be doing, it don't shock me because I didn't have an expectation that just because somebody say they're Hebrew, that mean they're righteous. Now, I'm not knocking people who don't because I can understand the thought process. You know, you got a thought process. You thinking, okay, this ain't like the Christian church where people be faking. Oh, this is supposed to be the truth. Everybody's supposed to be right. You know what I'm saying? I get it. But no, that ain't how it go. But you know why I knew that's not how I go? Because before I actually was interacting with people every day, I'm fresh out of prison. I ain't got no job. I'm in the word every day for hours. Hours. I ain't talking about, oh, I read for a little bit, and I wasn't reading to learn no doctrines. I was consuming the roll. You understand? I was consuming the roll. So when I'm consuming the roll, I'm seeing that human behavior is human behavior. And that just because somebody could be having repping the name of Yahuwah and be sour as a lemon. You know what I'm saying? And so I ain't going for that. I'm looking for your deeds. I don't give a damn what you say out your mouth. Because I already told you can make your mouth fry fish. You know what I'm talking about? That don't mean nothing. That don't mean nothing. Because what did the Lord tell you? Get it for me, man. Matthew 7:12. I need to get to our main piece. We get there. You looking like you want to fight. I took your ice cream. Doris, I know you're feeling bad. It's a cinnamon roll over there for you. You ain't have to be looking. I just threw that out there for you. You look like you're a little down.
Oh my goodness.
A little down. You look like you look like a nigga in jail who put his calendar on the wall and you slicing the days off waiting for his return. You see, you ain't gonna be like the foolish virgins. You're gonna be sitting there waiting for him with oil in your lap with the lights on. Oh, you should have known this was coming. I ain't mess with Civic when I talked with him the other day. You know what I'm saying? I get him when he get back, but you get yours now. I don't want to do mine over the phone. Civic say she definitely counting. He done threw you under the bus. Same thing is that nigga count too. He trying to act like he ain't count. Oh man. Oh man. Oh, we going to Matthew 7:12, Dre. Huh? He gonna be calling her, baby. I'm gonna talk to you till you get home. Get on FaceTime with me. I'll watch you through the door. You know what I'm saying? He gonna act like I could protect you. That you can't get up, put you on jump through the phone, nigga. Oh man, shoot, Doris, you should have been ready for that. You should have already had your mind prepared that these jokes was coming. Come on, Matthew 7. I said 10, didn't I?
I said 12.
So give me Matthew 7:12.
It said, therefore, all things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do ye even so to them.
That's right.
For this is the law and the prophets.
That's right.
Enter ye in at the straight gate.
In a where?
In the straight gate.
Where?
The straight gate.
Why?
For wide is the gate,
And narrow,
and
broad is the way that lead to what?
To destruction.
Many people going to hell, y'all. You got to be careful. Many people going, let me tell you something. It's more people who deal with this word that's going to hell than those that getting in. Don't let that John fool you now. Don't let these people lie to you. Come on.
It says, because straight is the gate and narrow is the way,
it's tight,
which leadeth to life.
Mm-hmm.
And few there be that find.
And ain't many people going to be saved because ain't too many people going to be willing to come through the straightness and the discipline that it takes to be saved. It ain't too many people want that. I just was telling the brother that people don't like to hear that. Man, this ain't what people want. This ain't what they want. You know what? I tell you, y'all done seen it firsthand. Niggas be like, boy, that's some deep information. Niggas be excited and all. Till they realize it's a lifestyle come with that. Whoa. I ain't signed up for that. You mean I actually got to do it? Oh, you mean I just can't get this info you dropping and just like, hey, look at this cool stuff we talking about. Nah, nigga, you thought that's what we do this for? Nah, bro, you got to live this, bro. Oh, no, I won't do that. This nigga popping mini cokes. But just being honest with you, it's a lifestyle come with that. Man, I don't know who that brother was in the room we was in the other day, man. But I love that brother. You know why? Because he said the same thing we've been saying for 13 years. Man, asked him how you know if somebody got the word for real. My brother said they ain't preaching holiness, boy, they ain't talking about nothing. I said, that brother all right with me. That boy said faith and holiness. Boy, you don't hear too many people out here talking like that. Because y'all already know that you got to be set apart. That's mandatory. That's what Hebrew 12 tell you, didn't it? He say, hey, man, be at peace with all men. With Kadash, without such, ain't no man going to see the Lord. How you going to see the Lord you ain't set apart? Who you telling? You ain't lying. Derek said that was an amazing room that day. That brother was thinking he was kind of how he was talking. He wasn't telling no lies, though. He wasn't telling no lies, boy. That man said, you better be you Kadash like I'm Kadash. You better be holy like I'm holy. Better set yourself apart. See, that's what people don't want to do. That's why they don't want to go through the straight gate. Remember, we ended talking about something in Hebrews 13 on Wednesday, right? Oh, yeah, we still got to deal with that. Come on with it, man.
It said, beware of false prophets.
Beware who?
False prophets.
Why?
Which come to you in sheep's clothing.
And what else?
But inwardly they are ravening wolves.
He told you that in Ezekiel 22. About them ravening wolves. Let me read it to you real quick so you can get the context where the Lord got that from and why he's saying what he's saying. And he was talking about people who preach the word when he was talking about it because he was talking about the Levite priest. So I'm going to share this with you one time right over here in Ezekiel 22, about verse 25. A conspiracy of her prophets in the midst thereof, like a roaring lion ravening the prey. They have devoured souls. They've taken the treasure and precious thing. They have made her many widows in the midst thereof. Her priests have violated my law. They've profaned my Kadash things. They've put no difference between the Kadash and the profane. Neither have they showed between the unclean and the clean. And they hid their eyes from my Shabbat, and I'm profaned among them. Her princes in the midst thereof, like wolves ravening the prey, to shed blood, to destroy souls, to get dishonest gain. Her prophets had daubed them with untempered, seeing vanity, divining lies unto them. Thus saith Yahuwah, Elohim, when Yahuwah have not spoken. The people of the land have used oppression, exercised robbery, have vexed the poor and needy. Yea, they have oppressed the stranger wrongfully. That man said they out here doing their job to get some money, man. Did to get some money. They destroying souls. So when I tell you that what people doing in the, it's not nothing new, because this was going on in Ezekiel's time. And they were in captivity. So that means that they were in Babylon when Ezekiel got that word. So that means they were doing that when Jeremiah was in the land. They were doing that when Isaiah was in the land. They were doing that when every king that you could think of in the text was sitting on the throne. They was doing that. So you have to, what the book tell you, man, ain't nothing new under the sun. This one thing we done talked about plenty of time, right? You think preachers smashing women is new? Where the first place we can see that at? In Samuel, where Eli's son smashing the women at the door of the tabernacle. Ain't nothing new. You know what I'm saying? These dudes been sour out here. That's why you got to make sure you guard your soul, man. And just don't sit down at every table trying to eat. You know what I'm talking about? Because you might get served some, what you call it, some strychnine. You know what that is? It's poison. Poison to your soul. Come on, man.
It says, ye shall know them by their fruits.
By their what?
By their fruits.
By their what?
Their fruits.
And what else?
Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles?
Come on.
Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit,
And every
corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit.
Therefore,
a good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit.
So what you gonna know them by?
Every tree that bringeth forth not good fruit is hewn down,
and cat going to hell,
cast in the fire.
Remember, we talked about that fruit. So every tree that don't produce the joy, the peace, the long suffering, the love, the gentleness, the goodness, the meekness, the self-control, well, you going to hell. Remember what he did with the fig tree that ain't had no fruit on it? What he did? He cursed it because you're good for nothing. So if the seed is fell in your heart and it ain't produced that fruit, when that man see you, he gonna curse you. Remember though, but he even said, give it some time, didn't he? Then he said, if it don't bring fruit around this time, what he said? Cut it down and done it. You know what I'm saying? So you got to make sure, man, that you producing fruit. See, you just can't do the fruits of the spirit, like we were talking about Wednesday. The fruits of the spirit are a byproduct or evidence of the word. It's evidence of the seed. You know what I'm saying? You can't practice faithfulness. Faith come by hearing, hearing come by the word. You hear the word, and that seed is in your heart. The byproduct of that seed is faith. Then from through that faith, it's going to produce the love of God, which should produce the love for your neighbor. And since you got the love of God in you, that's when you would be gentle, and that's when you would be good. And that's when you would be humble. And that's when you would have long suffering. And that's when you would have joy. And then you would have peace. And then you would have the self-control that come from knowing that I know good and evil. But because I fear Elohim and I love Elohim, I resist the evil and do the good. Like Psalms 97:10. Give me Psalm 97:10. Because Psalm 97:10 tell you hate the evil and love the good. That would have tell you. Make sure I ain't told you the wrong verse. I feel like my mind telling me I might have told you the wrong verse. I told you the right verse. But give me 8. Psalm 97:8.
It says, Zion heard and was glad, and the daughters of Judah rejoiced because of thy judgments, O Yahuwah. For though Yahuwah high above all the rocks, thou art exalted far above all Elohim.
Amen.
Ye that love Yahuwah hate evil.
You that what?
Love Yahuwah hate evil.
Do what?
Hate evil.
Do what?
Hate evil.
Go ahead.
He preserved the souls of his saints.
So remember, preserve is to keep alive. So he gonna keep alive the nephash of his chesed, his faithful ones. He'll keep alive his faithful one. Just be faithful unto death. I don't care what your mama talking about. I don't care what your daddy talking about. I don't care what goofy niggas talking about on the street. I don't care what these goofy niggas talking about on YouTube, on Clubhouse, or nothing. You be faithful to Yahuwah no matter what. I don't care what's going on around you. Stay faithful to him. It's a reward for you if you do. Go ahead.
He preserved the souls of his saints. He delivered them out of the hand of the wicked.
That's what he do what?
Delivered them out of the hand of the wicked.
You better know it.
Light is sown for righteousness, and gladness for the upright in heart. Rejoice in Yahuwah, ye righteous, and give thanks at the remembrance of his Kadash.
Notice what he said. Rejoice at what?
It says, rejoice in Yahuwah.
Rejoice in Yahuwah.
Ye righteous. Give thanks at the remembrance of his Kadash.
He say, when you call to mind his set apartness, give thanks. Don't you understand by the set apartness of Yahushua? That's how your soul is preserved to everlasting life. Give thanks. You know what I'm talking about? That's a beautiful thing, man. And we don't really pay no attention to it. We try to minimize it. We try to minimize it. We try to focus on all these other things that ain't hitting on nothing, man. That ain't hitting on nothing. It ain't going to get you what you're looking for. That's if you're looking for everlasting life. Some people not looking for. Get an Amos 5 and 14, man, where he tell you one more time, man, forsake the evil, man, and cleave to the good, man.
It says, seek good and not evil.
That's right.
That ye may live.
That you might what?
That ye may live.
That you might what?
That ye may live.
Stop letting these people put sin on you, man, telling you always got to be in evil and doing evil. Stop listening to these people. These people don't love you because they don't love God. One thing for certain, two things for sure. A nigga can't tell you to love God and then he tell you he's sinning in the same breath. Give me Romans 2 and 10 just to solidify that point. Yahuwah don't operate like that. That's not how he operates. Clean yourself up. He say to those who want to serve, he say let them wait on your what? On your service. You got to make yourself meet for the master's use. How many of you ladies that cook on a regular basis, how many of y'all would want to cook food with dirty dishes, dirty pots and pans? That's not meat for your use. What the hell make you think Yahuwah want to use dirty men? Your heart filthy and all nasty. What make you think he want to use that and you a representation of him? See, that's what we be forgetting. You want to win people to him, but you a representation of him. So everything you do represents him. See, you ain't thinking about that. So when you do X, Y, Z and it's left-hand side, you blaspheming this man's name amongst his enemies because you don't really realize that the enemies of Yahuwah are waiting for any opportunity to blaspheme his name. Ain't that what he told David? When David did that with Bathsheba and Uriah the Hittite, he said, you done given the enemies of Yahuwah an ability to blaspheme. We don't consider that. Don't you know that that man is not going to hold you guiltless if you was calling to representing him, but doing this over here and somebody blasphemed his name based off of your iniquity? He going to hold you accountable for that. He can say, that person going to catch that sin, but you going to catch it too. I'm going to come see you about that because you the reason why he did that. Because you around here talking about don't be a sissy, but you around here kissing boys in the mouth. You know what I'm saying? I just used the most extreme sin that I could think of. Romans 2 and 10.
It says, but esteem, honor, and shalom to every man that worketh good, to the Yahudim first and also to the Gentile. For there is no respect of persons with Elohim.
Ain't none.
For as many as have sinned without the law shall also perish without the law.
For those of y'all who don't know what that means, that is dealing with the Canaanites. The Canaanites sinned without the law and they died without the law because he told them to go in there and kill them all. So get what? Just because you ain't heard the word don't mean you ain't going to get spared. See, we know better because we know Psalms 19 tells us that the heavens declare the gospel. So get what? Every morning you go outside, you heard the word. Every night you went outside, you heard the word. You ain't think you knew it, but boy, ain't nobody getting by. Ain't nobody going to be like, I ain't heard nothing. That ain't happening. That ain't happening. Ain't nobody getting by. Every man going to give account. So if you know you got to give account, why not just live a clean and Kadash life and continual patience in the waiting of the redemption of the body by Yahushua HaMashiach to receive a full reward? Come on with it, man. Shalom, Brother Shaul.
It says, and as many have sinned in the law shall be judged by the law.
So if you've been sinning in the law, you going to hell by it. Remember what he said? He said, I judge you not. Even Moses judged you in whom you trust. You trust in the law, that same law going to judge you too. Just know that. Come on.
For not the hearers of the word are just before Elohim, but the doers of the word shall be justified.
That's right. Come on.
For when the Gentiles which have not the law do by nature the things contained in the law.
See, the example of that is Rahab. Rahab ain't had no law, but when she heard about what Yahuwah did for us, she said, yeah, boy, I'm going to rock with him. Same thing with, I ain't going to say that with, what her name is? Ruth, because that's different. Go ahead.
Contained in the law, these having not the law are a law unto themselves, which show the work of the law written in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness, and their thoughts, the meanwhile accusing or else excusing one another. It says, in that day when Elohim shall judge.
I got you in the wrong spot, man. Come back to 2-1. But that was good, though. That's fine. But come on back over here to Romans 2-1. It
said, therefore, you are excusable.
He said, you inexcusable. Matter of fact, I get it because I know I'm going to start acting a real nigga right now. He say, you are inexcusable, old man. Who are you that judge? For when you judge, you condemn yourself. For you judge and you do the same things. See, that's what that Matthew 7:1 was talking about. See, he never said you can't judge, because he said you're supposed to what? Rebuke your neighbor so you don't suffer no sin upon him. But see, the problem with the scribes and Pharisees, like Yahushua said, was their leaven was hypocrisy, because they said and did not. You understand? So When he tell you, oh, take, because guess what? 1 Corinthians 2:14 tell you, a spiritual man judge all things and is judged by no man. Because he that born of the word don't commit sin. Therefore, he can judge a matter. But see, remember, you got two things for judging, right? You got mishpat, you got shafat. See, a lot of people confuse the two. See, mishpat is just telling you what's right and wrong. Shafat is condemning. You know what I'm talking about? So you can't turn around and condemn somebody for a sin and you doing the same sin. That man say you inexcusable. See, that's what a lot of brothers out here, they don't want to understand. You know, I'm still a work in progress. Well, stop teaching till you get yourself together. Because you inexcusable. You can't preach. Why you think a lot of these brothers don't preach against no sin, man? Why you think they don't do? Why you think the only thing they want to talk about is pork and Sabbath? Because they got a whole bunch of other stuff going on over here. So they can't talk about that. See, y'all probably seen that when you was in the Christian church. The people, you knew the man, that man had a whole lot of other stuff going on. So he wasn't finna talk about that. Now, I'm not saying every Christian church like that. Please don't think that that's what I'm talking about. Because we know it. Some of them Christian pastors weren't doing nothing but going to work. You know what I'm talking about? Going home to their wife and coming in that church house and dropping some word on you and going right back home. So let's not have this thought process that every Christian pastor was around here being just an evil, wicked bastard, because we know that's a lie. You know what I'm talking about? Just because they may have certain doctrinal points wrong don't mean the man was out here living any kind of way. And you a damn fool if you think otherwise. Because some of y'all done came across some of them old men who've been preaching in churches all their life. Man, them men don't do nothing but go to work and go home. You know what I'm talking about? And what they believe to be correct, they live by that. You know what I'm saying? We'll say more for most of these brews out here, because you don't even live by what you telling people to do. He said, but we are sure that the judgment of Elohim is according to truth against them which commit such things. Think you this, old man, that you judge them which do things and you do the same, that you shall escape the judgment of Elohim? Or you despise the riches of the goodness and the forbearance and the long suffering, not knowing the goodness of Elohim leads you to repentance. But thereafter your hardness and impenitent heart treasure up unto yourself. It's all good. Up unto yourself the wrath against the day of wrath of the revelation of the righteous judgment of Elohim. Now look at verse 17, because that's what I want. Listen to it. He said, behold, you are called a Yahudim and retest in the law and make your boast of Elohim. And know will and approve the things that are most excellent, being instructed out of the law. And you are confident that you are a guide of the blind, a light of them which are in darkness, an instructor of the foolish, teacher of babes, which have the form of knowledge and the truth of the law. You, therefore, which teach another, teach you not yourself. You that preach a man should not steal. Do you steal? You say that a man should not commit adultery. Do you commit adultery? You that abhor idols, do you commit sacrilege? You that make your boast of the law through break of the law, dishonor your Elohim, for the name of Elohim is blasphemed among the Gentiles through you, as it is written. See, we don't like to consider that. You know what I'm talking about? How you teaching somebody else the word you ain't taught yourself? You know what I'm talking about? That don't even make sense. But see, we be cool with that. You know why? I'll tell you why. It make you comfortable in your sins. You know what I'm talking about? If you got a belly full of sins, and you know he got a belly full of sins, everybody feel comfortable, but ain't nobody actually having any access to life. And that ain't no way to live. That ain't no place to be. Come on back to Philippians 4, man. So we was in verse 6, right? He said, don't be anxious for nothing. You seen the same thing in Jeremiah 17, that you won't be anxious in the year of drought. No need to be anxious, no need to be stressed, no need to be worried. Look at verse 7. And the peace of Elohim, which pass all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Mashiach Yahushua. Listen to what he tell you. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things just, whatsoever things pure, whatsoever things lovely, whatsoever things of good report, if any virtue and any praise, think on these things. So, of course, we don't have time to go through it like we did the first time we looked at it. If you got any anxiety going on in your life, think about the things that are righteous, the things that are honest, the things that are pure, the things that are lovely. Think upon the gospel. Think on those things to help alleviate that anxiety, or which we never need an excuse to go to. Isaiah 26:3.
It says, thou will keep him in perfect shalom.
Whose mind
is stayed. Because he trusted in thee.
Mm-hmm.
Trust in Yahuwah forever.
For trusting Yahuwah
is everlasting strength.
That's it. That's all. That's all you need to know. But you got to think on those things that outflow from him. You understand? If you got any manner of anxiety, any manner of stress, you need to think on the things that are true, honest, righteous, pure, lovely, the gospel, virtue, any praise. And that's mainly because your mind has stayed on Yahuwah, because trusting Yahuwah is everlasting strength. See, a lot of times where we have the stress and anxiety is because your mind ain't stayed on Yahuwah. See, he ain't no peace for the wicked. So when you find yourself in this anxious state, it's because you went down to the justice of the people. You went down to the cave of Adullam, or you went and got in the grave with Mashiach. And you say, you're going to be my captain over me. You know what I'm saying? You're going to lead. You're going to be my head. You're going to be my prince. You're going to be my ruler. See, not like these people talking about Jesus, my husband. See, we ain't talking about that silly junk right there, man. I'm talking about this man is the leader of your life. This is your king. Now, see, it's different when you look at men, because when he say captain, because you talking about people coming down, that means he's a leader of an army, a leader of a host. So these men came down and said, we're going to make ourselves into subjection unto you. See, some of you don't know this here, right? We done been to other people's congregations. I don't step in there and be like, oh, I need you to drop and preach. For what? If we in these people's spot, then we're going to be subjection into what they got going on. So that means whoever is the head man in that spot, then we under his authority while we in there. You know what I'm talking about? Shalom, man. That's how that goes, bro. And I ain't talking about, but I done been in a couple people's congregations, bro. I do not come in there and be like, oh, let me drop some word. I'm in your spot. This is your authority. We under your authority while we here. So that means whatever you say go, that's what that is. We ain't finna stop you and correct you. Why we ain't doing none of that goofy junk these niggas be out here doing, man? Because these niggas don't understand to have respect for authority and hierarchy and how things work. That's not what you do. If you got a problem with what somebody teaching and you in their spot, then you go holler at them at another time. You don't show that man up in front of them people. And you know how we know this? Because when Hananiah was dropping that prophecy, what did Jeremiah do? Jeremiah said, amen, let Yahuwah bring that to pass, and walked off. The only reason he came back is because Yahuwah told him to come back. But I'm talking about if you in somebody's physical assembly, well, you don't stand up talking about I'm a preacher too, let me preach. Get your goofy behind out of here. You know what I'm saying? You don't step up there talking about let me correct you, you wrong. That's disrespect. That's not what you do. You got to know how to operate yourself when you in the house of Elohim, man. Shalom, Sam. You got to know how to operate and behave yourself. You got to have a level of comportment. But you also have to have a level of humility. You not that important, my G. Because it's not about you. It's about the word and it's about the people. That's who it's about. The minute you go to thinking it's about you, you ought to go to hell. You know what I'm talking about? Because now you done put yourself in a position that you don't belong in. Because guess what? Yahuwah can kill you today and replace you with somebody else, and the word going to keep on going. So you're not that important. And when I say that, meaning you're not that important as you think you are. That don't mean you're not important to Yahuwah, but if you get to the point that you think you're so important that you got to just open your mouth any and everywhere you go, or you deceiving yourself. You deceiving yourself, because not even the righteous men in this book operated like that. It's not how that goes. Man, look at man. I get it, though. You hear false prophets, you be like, man, I want to stop them. We know what the Lord told them. He said, leave them alone, man. They blind leaders of the blind. And if they both be blind, they go, see, I know that hurt, because you be like, why would he do that? Sometimes that's what just has to be done. Sometimes you drop a word. Sometimes you got to leave people alone. That's where wisdom come in at. To know when to speak and when know to keep your mouth closed. You know what I'm saying? But that's another conversation for another day. Look at this verse 9, though. Those things which you have both learned and received and heard and seen in me do, the Elohim of Shalom shall be with you. So Lil Johnny asked about verse 10. But I rejoice in the Lord greatly that now at your last care of me have flourished again, wherein you were also careful, but you lacked opportunity. So give me careful in the Greek. So really what that's telling you is he coming to people and he's saying, hey, man, I was really down bad. You really couldn't do nothing for me because you ain't had the opportunity to do. But you know what I'm saying? But I'm rejoicing in the Lord because you've been able to abound to assist. Because, you know, Paul told you that, man. You know, the apostles and certain people who preach the word, they be in tough situations. You know what I'm talking about? And the people felt the need to, amen, to help him out the same way that you would help the poor that was amongst us. But give me that word careful in the Greek.
It's a phroeo. That's to exercise the mind, a sentiment or opinion, to interest oneself, to be obedient, to set your affections.
So he said, so they were regarding, they had affection, they had concern for what he was going through. Listen to verse 11. Now that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned in whatsoever state I am to be content. So he said he wasn't speaking like, yeah, I was down bad. But either way it go, I've been learned to be good in whatever state that I'm in. Because you know what that lay down to, son, I told you plenty of time before, man. And we lived by this before we was in the word. You know the Trick Daddy song. He said, man, if I ain't got it, I ain't your dog no more. Well, that's the case, well, I ain't got it then. So Paul had that mindset that y'all don't owe me nothing. If you able to help me, I appreciate it. But whether you can or whether you can't, I still love you regardless. See, some people, they got the mindset of if they ask you for something and you can't do it, they be mad with you. Well, you wasn't never down with me no way. Because one thing I know, if you my nigga and you could do it, you'll do it. If you couldn't do it, you don't owe me an explanation why you can't do it. You know what I'm talking about? I ain't mad at you because you know what I'm knowing? If you could, you would. So if you can't, you ain't got it. See, that's different because some of y'all ain't never been in the street or been around niggas because you got niggas, they be counting niggas' pockets. Like when we were hustling, niggas like, boy, I know you got it, boy. I seen you kept about 6 serves. Nigga, what? You counting the serves, bro? What is you doing? He don't know what you got to do with that money. He don't know what you got to pay for. He don't know you might need to re-up. He don't know none of that. But he counting that because he want it and he feel like he entitled to it. You ain't entitled to nothing. Don't nobody owe you anything. Don't nobody got to do nothing for you. You know what I'm talking about? But you got to have that mindset of the willingness to do if it's in your power to do it, but also the humility to still love your brother if they can't do it and abide in whatever state that you're presently in. But let's continue. He say, for I know both how to be abased and I know how to abound. Everywhere and in all things, I'm instructed to be full and to be hungry, to both abound and to suffer need. I can do all things through Hamashiach, which strengthened me. Notwithstanding, you have well done that you did communicate with my affliction. So a lot of us talk about that verse that in Mashiach, I can do all things through Mashiach, which strengthened me. Well, we already know if we look at the strengthening, what's the first thing we would go look at? Well, I'll tell you. When Mashiach was exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death, what did he go do? He went and prayed. He did the exact thing when he was dealing with some manner of anxiety. He went and prayed to his father, did the exact thing that you're seeing in Philippians chapter 4. He thought on that which was pure because he went and prayed to his father. He thought on that which was honest. He thought on that which was righteous. That's the first thing he went and did. He didn't go crying. He didn't go talking to this person or that person. He went straight to the source of strength. And then after he prayed, what did his Abba do for him? He sent him 2 Malachim down to strengthen him. So when you see that I can do all things through Hamashiach who strengthened me, and we just read in Isaiah 26 that trust in Yahuwah is what? Everlasting strength. So your trust and your faith in God is what's going to strengthen you to be able to do whatever it is you need to do in him. And he was talking about being afflicted or being with lack. You know what I'm talking about? See, a lot of times we'll mention this verse in this Philippians 4 and 13, but not look at it in the context of what Paul was writing when he said it. And the verse behind it let you know, you have well done that you communicated with my affliction. The verse before let it, he said, man, I know how to be broken. I know how to have some money. I know how to be full and I know how to be hungry. I know how to do all of that. You know what I'm talking about? He said, I know how to do all of that. Because of the faith in my master, that's what will strengthen me to be able to do that. So it's all taking you back to the one key component, which was springing out of that Jeremiah 17, which is trust, blessed are those who trust in Yahuwah, whose hope Yahuwah is, and you will not be careful in drought, or you won't be anxious or with stressful when there's a time of lack. See, one of the biggest things when you got a time of lack, that's when most people get stressed. You know what I'm talking about? And it's natural. I'm not saying that it's unnatural for you to do. Why you think this passage is in here? To tell you not to be anxious about nothing. Because at the end of the day, you flesh and blood. So, and you're actual human being in real life situations. So when them situations arise, they're telling you to think on Yahuwah and his word so that their anxiety can be abated because you trust in Yahuwah and your expectation is from him. Because see, we don't look to horses. The help of horses in vain. Our help comes from heaven. Ain't that what the book say? So when you're dealing with something, you need to lift your eyes up unto your father in Shamahim and make your request known. Ain't that what the Lord told you to do? But also he gave you another caveat. He told you to do what? Seek the Malkufa Elohim first. Because all the stuff that we be coming at this man with, this man already know you need somewhere to live. He already know you need clothes. He already know you need food. That's light. He already know that. But he wants you to seek his dominion. You know what I'm talking about? He wants you to seek eternity. That man told you in Samuel, man, he could take a man from a dunghill and set him amongst princes. So to increase your financial situation is nothing. But then if you get put in a situation like Job, where your financial situation get lower, where your faith falter. See, that's why you have to get tested and proved, because it's real easy to say how much you love this man when everything's smooth. You know what I'm saying? When everything cool. You know what I'm saying? It's real easy. See, most people, they want easy. You know why you want easy? Because you ain't got to do nothing. Now, I ain't gonna lie, boy, that nigga BOA was doing Proverbs 31. That joint was trash, man. But that nigga did say something that was real. He was young. Remember I told you about that clip where that lady said she wanted to be a kept woman, a woman of leisure? One thing for certain, you can't say you know Kyle woman. Because I want y'all to know, when they say virtuous woman, virtuous ain't there. That's not the word that's used there. It's Kyle. That means this is a strong woman, which means faithful. Or if you want to use another definition, it would be an able woman. And one thing it said about that doggone virtuous woman, it said that woman did not sit down at the bread of idleness. So if she wanted to be a woman of leisure, she couldn't be no virtuous woman. Why am I mentioning that? If you as a godly man want a godly woman, then a woman who want to be a woman of leisure, I don't think that's what you would choose. I don't think that's what you would choose. Because this woman don't want to do nothing. She said, I don't want no responsibilities. So when you hear that, that's a woman who she not going to do what a just, upright woman with the book say going to do. She's not going to wash the saints' feet. She not going to give to the poor and needy. You know what I'm talking about? She ain't going to lodge strangers. She ain't going to minister of her substance. She ain't going to go in there. You got to understand something, right? Remember with Mary and Martha? You remember when Martha was upset about Mary? She said, tell her to come in here and serve with me. He said, man, Martha, you cumbered about with many things. He said, but Mary has chosen that best part. That won't. He basically told her, be easy. Your sister over here getting the word. Do your part. Let her get that word. You do your part. You got a lot of women. I'm not serving them niggas. They can get in here and do it. But guess what? That's a part of the ministry, though. But it don't seem to be an important part. See, look at this, right? I know them feast day come around. I know y'all be bickering. I know what y'all be doing. You think I don't know, but I be knowing. I be knowing. Stop telling lies. On the Sabbath at that. But guess what? Your duty and service on the feast day to cook the meal is just as important as me preaching. It's not less than important. It's just as important. You think the Lord gonna look at you when you cooking and you fixing their place and serving them? Look at them. They ain't doing nothing. He looking at you like, okay, you did that. That means you serve me. See, remember, I done told y'all that before, but you don't pay attention to it. When you went in there and you cooked that food, you wasn't cooking that food for us. You were cooking that food for him. When you fixed that plate and you handed it to that man, you didn't hand that plate to that man. You handed that to him. Because he said, whoever, if you did it to the least of my servants, you did it unto me. How many times I done told y'all everything you do, the book say do it for who? To do it for Elohim, to do it for Yahuwah. So that service is just as, it's not less important. Any service that's done in the body is just as equally important. Not one job is greater than the other. It's just the preaching part get looked at because people want the attention, the notoriety that they feel come with that. You know what I'm talking about? Man, look at, man, before we was ever on any YouTube screen, and y'all know I can't cook. Well, you probably don't know that, but I can't. Not effectively as y'all can. Let me say that. I appreciate that. But I mean, look at, I used to cook all the food, serve them niggas, and preach the word.
What you cook? For real?
Yes. I can't remember. Little Muffin can tell you. I don't remember what it was, but yeah, I remember one year though. Our homeboy Jason, man, he cooked some macaroni. He was upset because nobody ate it because it was horrible.
That was you that made the vegan lasagna?
Oh no, that wasn't there. That wasn't there. Yeah, that Dwight was upset. Dwight's still upset about that to this day. It's been 10 years. He's still upset about that. He can't. Because I ain't gonna tell you no lie. He was genuinely upset. No, it didn't. Listen, right? We had just got finished lifting. He was good and hungry. You know what I'm saying? He looking forward like, boy, we finna go through this word. We finna eat. And she made that. And when that nigga said, come on, man, that nigga was upset. He was upset. I don't tell no lie. He was upset. She was trying something different at the time. You know what I'm saying? You know, Nell got diabetes, so she was. Yeah, that's what he said. You can't be experimenting on the feast day. You know what I'm saying? He was upset about that. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about that ain't even know like he was genuinely like. No, I lived with it. That wasn't an experience. That was her first time. Yeah, that was her first time making that. He was upset about that, genuinely. Ain't even no cat, no exaggerate. He was upset. And it wasn't that bad, but I understood why he was upset, though, because he was hungry. Like, real deal hungry. You know what I'm saying? Like, straight up, he was hungry. You know what I'm saying? Come over first, Samuel 22:2. I can't blame him. We had a good lifting session that day, too. Boy. I nigga like, boy, I know we finna eat good. We didn't eat good because I ain't eat much of it. I'm like, it's cool and all. I don't want to keep eating it though. Because it definitely didn't, it wasn't gonna fill you up. Let's look at debt, right? You say everyone that was in debt. And that's Nashah. That's to be a creditor or to act as a creditor. So let's think about that. Come over here to Psalms 49 and 9. Psalms 49 and 9.
It say that he should still live forever and not see corruption.
Back me up to 5 then. Psalms 49 and 5, everybody.
It says, wherein should I fear the days of evil, when iniquity of my heels shall compass me about?
That's right.
They that trust in their wealth and boast themselves in the multitude of riches, none can by any means redeem his brother, nor give to Elohim a ransom.
There's nothing that you could give for your brother. No ransom you could pay because you owe. See, this is what we were telling the brother yesterday, right? He asked this question: do you believe Gentiles can be saved? And it led me, because I'm finna work this in because we talking about this cave. And the reason why I'm spending all the time talking about this cave and these waters before we even get back to Orion and Artakis and Pleiades and all that there is the waters coming out of the waters and the things that pertain to that. So listen to it.
It says their inward thought, their houses forever, their dwelling places to all generations. They call lands after their own name.
That's right.
Nevertheless, man in honor abideth not. He is like the beasts that perish. This their way is folly. Yet
their way is what?
Is folly.
It's stupid.
Yet their posterity approve their saying, Salah.
So they say their offspring approve the wickedness. So what we're going to look at in a second is you were not redeemed by corruptible things like silver and gold from the vain conduct of your fathers. That boy, this case said that thing there was terrible. He said it then. He been consistent for a decade by this. He probably having a flashback right now, like nigga. I'm telling you now, it's been 10 years. This year make 10 years. He been upset for a decade by this. Oh, now she ain't gonna be able to come down here and make that one. She told me the other day she wish she would have stayed down here. She missed the river. Yeah, she told me that. Yeah, she said she missed the water. He said that's low key. He said that's why he a harsh critic now, because of that. Yeah. He said y'all got to suffer that. Y'all got to wear that. You know what I'm saying? But I meant that for a reason, because that service is important. You know what I'm saying? Any service that can be done in the body is important. That's what that 1 Corinthians 12 is talking about. That not one member in the body is more important than the others. But yes, firstly, it's apostles. Secondarily, prophets. As fourth is authority and hierarchy is concerned. You know what I'm saying? See, we've been living in America for so long without an actual hierarchy and structure and a dominant subordinate type situation that now we don't want to do that no more. We all want to be free agents floating around, and that's not how this thing goes. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be effective for the what you call it, for the main goal. You know what I'm saying? Because he set men to watch for people's souls. Why do you think pastors are called shepherds in the text? What do shepherds watch over? They watch over the flock. It's certain people's job to watch for souls of people, to guard them, to protect them. You know what I'm saying? That's their job. Didn't we read that in Hebrew 13 Wednesday? He said these men watch for your souls. That's what that Ezekiel 33 with the watchman is about. They watch for souls. A man who's in that position who don't do that, he got to give account that he didn't watch for these people's souls. That's why a lot of brothers, I keep telling y'all, that's why a lot of brothers don't want congregations and want to be online preachers, because they feel like that will absolve them from the responsibility of watching for people's souls. If you ain't watching for people's souls, that man ain't hired you. Nigga, you just went up and went and did something. Anybody that you who will hire, he gonna give people to their charge for them to watch over. That's how this thing works. That's what Paul told them men in Acts 4. He got ready to slide, didn't it? But see, we don't want to do that because nobody really wants the culpability and responsibility that's gonna come with that job. See, I mentioned that because we were talking about that when we were talking about Isaiah 42 and that servant. When you're in that position, that's your job to watch for these people's souls. That's your job. That's why he said you just an unprofitable servant doing what it was your duty to do. That's your job. And if you don't understand that, he didn't hire you. You hired yourself. And when you go to get paid, he going to look at you and say, depart from me, you work of iniquity. I never knew you. Y'all have mercy on his soul. If Brother Goldie was here now, we say it again, like you can't go to McDonald's or go to dropping fries and think you're going to get paid. Who hired you? Because at the end of the day, a lot of dudes who teaching the word, that's what you doing. You ever see, you think you could just walk into McDonald's and put a uniform on and start making Big Macs? Start dropping fries? What you want? You want a number 7? $6.25 at the window. See, this the difference though. The Lord ain't calling nobody. He gonna let you keep working. And when you come to get your paycheck, he gonna be like, boy, you do not work for me. I don't know you. You gonna be like, but I did all these wonderful works in your name. I did this and I did that. And I appreciate you doing it. But I don't owe you nothing because you don't work for me. Let me get that. I don't even know who gave this nigga a uniform. I know it sounds harsh, but it's real though, because that's what he said in Matthew, didn't it? He said they're going to come and say, we prophesied in your name. We did many wonderful works in your name. He said, boy, I don't know you. Remember in the Acts when that man went to casting out them unclean spirits? He said, Yahusha, I know. Paul, I know. Who are you? And he cast the unclean spirit out. And that unclean spirit said, boy, we don't know you, boy. I said, I know the Lord and Paul, but I don't know you, cuz. That means that man's name wasn't written in heaven. Yeah, you had the power to do that work because of the name of which you did it in, but that don't mean you're going to get rewarded for it. Oh, see, this is the thing, right? Tia mentioned, she said, I don't know if she agreed with that. One body, many parts, everyone's given many gifts. Who are we to decide who's chosen? We just have to look at the fruit of that person. See, this is the thing, right? We're not deciding who's chosen. This is what I'm telling you. An individual could be preaching the word and you think they in the body, but they really not. And that's why I mentioned that Acts. If you seen that when that dude cast out that unclean spirit, get it for him, man. I think it's Acts 19. You would have thought he was in the word, but he wasn't.
You told him not to eat or something that place the name of.
Oh yeah. Now Nisha just mentioned in 1 Kings, right? You had a prophet that Yahuwah told, go in here, drop this word, don't eat no bread in this plate, don't drink no water here, and don't go back the way that you came. And another dude came to him and said, I'm a prophet too. Sit down and eat with me. And he did. And Yahuwah say, nigga, you finna die. And he let that man get eaten by lions. Because I don't care what he said. What did I tell you to do? You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, get that Acts 19 for real quick, man. See, that's the thing you got to be careful for. You can see somebody do a work, but that don't mean he worked for them. Work for him. And you got to be, and one thing about gifts is receiving the Ruach is a gift in itself. But just because you say you in the body, don't mean you got a spiritual gift. See, we be looking at that. Everybody ain't got no gift. Hell, everybody ain't saved. Shoot, hell, everybody ain't in the body. Just because you say you believe in the Lord don't mean you in him. That don't mean you in him. And that's what I meant earlier before. Like, you have to pay attention to that. And I'm not saying that to poke at nobody. I'm telling you that to warn you. Because that's how you get got. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you can't look at, you know what I'm saying? I'm just telling you, hey, I'm just warning you. Because I can look at somebody and tell, oh, you who ain't with them. I'm not going to say nothing to you. You know what I'm talking about? I'm going to see that, and I'm going to be like, yeah, you who ain't with him, and I'm going to go on my way. That's definitely a fact. And I remember that because they'll say one day she was on the city bus years ago, and I forgot what it was, but I remember that she was like it ministered to her spirit. He was like, I don't give my gifts to sinners. She came home and told me that. I said, oh, yeah, that wasn't no lie. And we went through the book that night because she asked me about that, and we had a conversation about that. No, he don't give his gift to sinners. Oh, no, not CT. That's not how that works. He ain't using no sinner to preach to save another person. You know what I'm saying? Because what that ends up doing is what we were talking about before. His name can be blasphemed. Like, you have to actually clean yourself up. See, you looking at something different that we not talking about. And a sinner don't have no gift. A sinner don't have nothing but death on their head. You know what I'm talking about? And I know this because I was one. I ain't had no gift when I was no sinner. I ain't understand no word. I couldn't preach no word. I couldn't order no sentences. I couldn't do none of that.
You got to explain to them why he would give power to the sinner to do something else.
Yeah, the only reason why he would give power to a sinner to do something is to see if you would obey what he said. Because he tell you that in Deuteronomy 13. He said, I don't care if they bring none of that to pass what they said. I don't care what sign or wonder they brought to pass. You better do what I told you to do, which is going back to that first Kings 13 with that prophet. See, we got to look at the word. I don't care what he doing. Do it line up with the word? Because if it don't line up with the word, oh, hey, I don't care what you just did, boy.
That was copying players.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because the beast's going to be working all manner of signs and wonders, trying to get people. Come over here to Acts 19, man, verse 11.
It said, Elohim wrought special miracles by the hands of Paul, so that from his body were brought unto the sick handkerchiefs or aprons.
Diseases.
With diseases and departed from
evil
them.
ruachs.
Went out of them.
There was a certain other vagabond.
The Yahudim.
What were they?
They were exorcists.
They were what?
Exorcists.
Give them exorcists by definition in this Greek.
The exorcists the same.
So they're exorcists. This would take us to Deuteronomy 18.
They say one that binds an oath or spell or conjurer.
So this is a diviner. You know what I'm saying? This is a necromancer. This is a witch. Look at what they did. Listen to it.
They took upon them to call.
He said they did what?
They took upon
They
them
chose to do that on their own.
To call over them which had the evil ruachs. In the name of the master Yahusha, saying, we adjure you by Yahusha, whom Paul preached.
And when there were 7
sons of Sceva, one Sceva, a Yahudim, chief of the priests,
the evil ruach,
it said he answered
and said,
Yahusha I know,
and
Paul I know.
But
who are you?
He said, I don't know them. Remember, the devil, it said that the evil spirits of the devils know that Yahusha is God, right? I want y'all to know something and understand this well. Them same evil spirits know who are Elohim and who ain't. They know who name written in heaven and who ain't. Don't think that they don't know. Because they do. Remember when them evil spirits seen Yahusha, what did they say? Have you come to trouble us before the time? They already know they going to hell. He said, and the evil spirits say, we know who you are. You the son of God. What he told them? Shut your mouth. He told them, unclean spirit, don't you tell nobody who I am. Shut your mouth. So I'm telling y'all that they know. And just because you see somebody do something, don't mean they work for Yahuwah. Now, I'm not telling you because somebody do something that they don't work for Yahuwah. I'm just letting you know, you gotta, he that is of Elohim hears Elohim's word. You gotta pay attention to that. Just because somebody got the word in their mouth don't mean that they work for God. Because it said they took this on themselves, didn't it? Ain't nobody asked them. Yahuwah didn't hire them to do that. They did that on their own. And get what? And they were successful. And if you wouldn't have heard that unclean spirit say that, you would have thought they worked for Yahuwah. Whole time they didn't know. That's a hard pill to swallow. Come over here to Matthew 7. Now, see, I'm just telling you stuff that I learned this early in the word. And this ain't something that we ain't never talked about before. You know what I'm saying? I'm just mentioning that because Tia mentioned that. You know what I'm saying?
See, they'll think that that's their fruit.
Yeah, you'll think that's the fruit. But that's not their fruit. See, one thing about it is Yahuwah will let something happen so that person can go to hell who did it. He did that so them exorcist dudes could go to hell. See, but we don't look at it like that. Why would he do that? Because them men don't believe in him anyway. All they wanted to do that for is they seen Paul working miracles, so they like, we want to do it too. Just like the dude in earlier Acts who say, man, I'll pay you for this ability to lay hands to get a ruach out to people. And Peter say, man, you die with that money. And may Elohim forgive you for the wicked intents of your heart, thinking that you could purchase the ruach HaKodesh with some money. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to pay attention to that. I'm just warning you. I ain't pointing no fingers at nobody. I ain't saying this. I ain't calling nobody names. I ain't got nobody in mind, truth be told. You know what I'm saying? I'm just telling you stuff that we've been taught about for years. Like, hey, be careful. Everybody who do stuff don't work for him. They don't work for him. Not everybody. Let me show you this Matthew said, man. Listen to what he said. 7:21. Not everyone that say unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the Malkuth of Shamahim, but he that do the will of my Abba, which is in Shamahim. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name? So we've been preaching in your name. We've been telling people about you. And in your name cast out devils, just like you seen dude do, didn't it? And in your name done many wonderful works. And then will I profess to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you worker of iniquity. So that means he let them do all of that just to get him at the end and say, boy, I don't know you, boy. Get away from me. But that's tough. And guess what happens? That Ezekiel 14 tell us, everybody that sought after an individual like this here in Matthew 7, you getting the same reward he got because you sought after him. That's why it is of the utmost importance that anybody you receive the word from, you better seek Yahuwah to make sure that's where you're supposed to get it from. You better make sure God hired them. You better make sure Yahuwah son them. You know what I'm talking about? Your life depends on this. I'm not telling you this to make you think, oh, I guess he just wants us to listen to him. You ain't got to listen to me. You can go and listen to whoever you want to listen to. It don't make me no never mind. I was doing this before I knew some of y'all, and if the Lord allow, I'll be doing it after you slide. But what I'm telling you is, protect your life. This is not no game. This is your life on the line. You're going to answer for your soul one day. Don't play with your life like this. Don't put your life in anybody. Hell, don't put your life in your own hands when you know you don't know the word like that. You better pray. When that eunuch was sitting down there and Philip came through, that man said, how am I know except some man guide me? Pray that this man sends somebody. Remember what the Lord told you to pray for? What he told them people to pray for in Matthew chapter 9. He say, pray to the Lord of the harvest that he send laborers into his harvest, for the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. You know what I'm saying? I just want you to protect yourself. I ain't telling you what to do. Oh, but see, that's the thing. See, that is different what you talking about here. She said he'll use the ones that you least expect. But he does, but not in the way that we've been taught how he do it. 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 25. He do use the people that you least expect, but not in the way we've been taught. See, we've been taught he'll use this person. God will use anybody. That's a lie from hell. He don't just use anybody. He used men ordained from the foundation of the world. Yeah.
We just talked about that with Saul.
Yeah, we did, because he picked Saul for Saul's own destruction. Saul was evil as hell, and he knew he was evil. You know, but Saul was the one who was tall and handsome. He was evil as hell. But the shorter man who was still handsome and not as physically imposing, he had a heart after Elohim. He just, Sean just said the same thing. David is the prime example. Come on with it, man.
It says, because the foolishness of Elohim is wiser than men, and the weakness of Elohim is stronger than men.
What is this? 1 Corinthians 1. What verse it is?
That's 25.
1 Corinthians 1 and 20. I'm just saying that for the people. 1 Corinthians 1 and 25. Come on. It's already open.
It said, because the foolishness of Elohim is wiser than men, and the weakness of Elohim is stronger than men. For ye see your calling, brethren, how that not many wise men
not many wise men after the flesh. So this Sunday we done talked about this for years. How brothers be like, oh man, Jeezy, you want him to use rappers and celebrities. He not gonna use them because the esteem ain't gonna go to him. It's gonna go to this person. He not gonna use them. He not gonna use them. Come on. Because matter of fact, I give you an example. Saul, though he was more physically imposing than everybody else, he didn't have a great estate amongst the people. So when the Ruach got on Saul, they say Saul one of the prophets now. They mocked him. When he went and got Gideon said he was what? The least in his father's house. David was the least in his father's house. So the men that he used are going to be men at the bottom. The men that people overlook, but they're going to have the power of God in them. And when I say that, not just in words, but in deed and in truth. You know what I'm talking about? See, it's different because we on these platforms and you ain't actually around people to know how they live. You know what I'm saying? So I was telling Carl yesterday, right? I was talking about my homegirl I went to high school with, man, like when I first started dealing with the word, you know what I'm saying? And I was slide word on Facebook because people at that time, the people who was on my page was everybody I went to school with or from my neighborhood. So these were people I knew in real life. So me and her was having a DM conversation, you know what I'm saying? Just seeing how you doing, whatever case may be. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, boy, I know you live in that word, boy. You know what I'm saying? What? I say, nigga, how you know that? I say, man, I could just be posting anything, man. You don't know what I'm doing. She say, nigga, I know you. You know what I'm talking about? That was her response. Like, I know you in real life. So she's not around me on a day-to-day basis, but see, all us, we around each other. So there's nowhere for you to hide. You know what I'm talking about? See, when you just on an app, when you just on YouTube, when I say app, I ain't talking about just Clubhouse, I'm talking about any app. You can be whoever you want yourself to be, but you can be living contrary when you get off that app. So everything you said out your mouth is null and void. You know what I'm saying? Because your life got to match that. You know what I'm saying? That's why I tell you, that's why a lot of brothers don't want to actually be around people. You know what I'm talking about? We know this because we done had dudes, right? They didn't want to be held accountable for what they were doing. You niggas out here doing all type of goofy stuff, man. And you think we supposed to stamp it. No, it's bigger than that. That's why the biggest thing I tell you, it's all good to hear word from people online. That's fine. But man, you want to make sure them people is about what they talking about. Don't be swayed by the words of men. That's how you get deceived. You know what I'm talking about? You need to make sure that their life match that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people's life don't match that. How you gonna follow their faith if you don't even know what their faith is? Darius just put that verse in there. So surely men of low degree of vanity, men of high degree are to lie, to be laid in the balance. They're altogether lighter than vanity. You got to know. That's why you got to be born again. Come on with it, man.
It says, for ye see your calling, brother.
Amen, Mother Sharona.
How that not many wise men after the flesh, not many mighty, not many noble are called.
That's right.
But Elohim have chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise.
That's right.
And Elohim have chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty.
And what else he say he choose?
And the base
and the base
of the world.
Give him base in Greek.
The base thing is without kin or ignoble. The base things.
Low men. You know what I'm saying? I done been in spots, and then because I can only reference myself. I can't speak. Obviously, I ain't had nobody else who preached the word besides Trav. And well, I don't remember everything, how Quad got in the word. You know what I'm saying? But somebody would look at me and be like, I done been in the street before. T-shirt and basketball shorts on. We end up, I got to drop word. I'm talking about when I was preaching in the street, and people would look at me and be like, I wouldn't have thought you knew what you knew by looking at you. You know what I'm saying? Like people might think it now. You know what I'm saying? But they're like this here, nigga. You a felon? You a drug dealer? How he give you the word? That's the people. Like when she say the people that you don't expect him to use. It's people who were sinners, who repented and were born again. That's who he gonna use. And he gonna make those who seem great and mighty in the eyesight of men, he gonna make them look stupid. Because like you say in Luke 16:15, that which is highly esteemed among men, we say you are those that justify yourselves, but Elohim know your heart, and that which is highly esteemed among men is an abomination before Elohim. So it's the people who society, or not even to say society, because what he told you, a prophet, they ain't got no honor where? In his own house, and amongst his own kin. You know what I'm talking about? Because remember what they said about the Lord, who is him to do these great mighty works? Don't we know his mama? That's the same thing they said about Saul. You know what I'm saying? See, when they see you and you don't have this great name in the community and amongst the people, that's who Yahuwah gonna use. You know what I'm talking about? To make those strong people look stupid. You know what I'm saying? See, that's the beauty of the Lord. That's who we gonna use. Because, you know, they tell it, because I hear people all the time, God use anybody. No, that's not. No, he don't use anybody. Stop lying on that man. What type of God would you want to deal with that just pick anybody at random? That's not how he operates. He got stones and procedures for people that he used. And that stone and procedure is you got to make yourself meet for the master's use. Because he can't dwell in an unclean vessel. Anywhere there's sin at, Yahuwah got to consume it. Why you think the Father can't come dwell on the earth until the earth get cleaned up? Because he can't even look on sin. His eyes are too pure to behold evil. He can't dwell in her. That's why it's important to wash yourself with the washing of the water of the word and make you a new heart and a new spirit so he can dwell in you. It's his desire to dwell in you. But you got to clean your damn house. How many of y'all would invite guests to come stay with you in your house dirty? Well, why in the hell you think Yahuwah want to live with you in your house dirty? And he say your body is the temple of Elohim, and he destroyed the physical temple because they defiled it. He destroyed the physical temple because it was unclean. He said, well, I can't stay here. You done brought idols in here. You done sacrificed unclean animals in here. I ain't talking about what you're talking about with the Maccabees. I'm talking about the first temple he said he destroyed. That's what you were doing in there. He said, oh no, I got to tear that down. I can't live in that. I can't live in that. Make your body a habitable place to where he would want to dwell. Because once he dwell with you, oh man, it's good. You good once he live with you. See, some of y'all done had roommates before and some of you hadn't. Well, this is a roommate you want. You know what I'm talking about? You want, and guess what? He want to live with you. But boy, you got to go on here and, you need to mop the floor. You know what I'm saying? You need to clean the bathroom. I'm talking about behind the toilet. You know what I'm saying? The part down there. You know what I'm talking about? Not just the bowl. You need to wipe in the front of the toilet too. Right at the base. Write that down. That's right. That's what they said about it. Can any good thing come out of Nazareth? That's what they said about. See, I remember Nell say she was thinking about. We were talking about that. That's years ago too. She was riding on the bus. She said, "Clicked in the mind." We were having a conversation about that, and she was like, "What clicked in the mind was like saying, what if the Lord came from out east? Anything good come off Jesse Street? You know what I'm talking about? That's how they would think if he was in these modern times. Oh, anything good come off 33rd of Moncrief? Ain't nothing good coming out of Grand Park. Ain't nothing good coming out of Lackawanna. That's how they looked at him. He was allegedly a carpenter's son coming up out the slums. You know what I'm saying? He ain't listening to this nigga. Whole time, this was God in the flesh. You know what I'm saying? Whole time. Because we look at the appearance of a man. That's why you would say he don't look at the appearance, but on the heart. And he was talking about physical appearance. You know what I'm saying? Because the things that we look on outwardly, that's who, look inside this. We done talked about this before. You got some men who physically strong, but they weak because they ain't got no faith. See, somebody look at me, that nigga big, he got muscle. And I could be weak as hell on the inside without faith. Strong physically, but you weak spiritually. What good is that? You know what I'm saying? It don't mean you're no good. But see, come on back to Psalm 49. I appreciate it when y'all be participating, because then it allows to go through other stuff. I feel like somebody asked something else and I done forgot it. Because I know little Johnny said that 4 and 10, verse 10. I think that was it. I think I'm just overthinking that. Very well. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I ain't here for me. By the grace of God, I already know the word. You know what I'm talking about? This for y'all. I don't get no benefit out of this. I don't get no gain, no profit. This for y'all so you can know your God. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, we did read that. Whatever verse we're 40, Psalm 49 and 10, and then we go to 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 14.
Yeah, 13.
Verse 13. But give me 12 one more time.
It say, nevertheless, man, being in honor abideth not, he is like the beasts that perish.
Mm-hmm.
This their way is their folly,
Mm-hmm.
yet their posterity approve their saying, Salah.
That's right.
Like sheep they are laid in the grave.
Mm-hmm.
Death shall feed upon them.
Mm.
The upright shall have dominion over them in the morning.
Look, he said the upright will have what?
Dominion over them in the morning.
In the what?
In the morning.
Now let's pause. Let's look at that because we supposed to be dealing with creation, right? He said the upright gonna have what? Dominion in the morning. They're gonna have Malkuth. They're gonna have rain. They're gonna have rule. They're gonna have rule. Oh, praise you. Say so. Thank you, who indeed, man. So let's take a look at this here, right? We know Genesis 1 and 1 say, and in the beginning, it was darkness and the earth was with chaos. And then he said, let there be what? And then the man was able to have dominion because eventually who had the dominion? Adam. And then Yahushua, remember what Psalms 30 say? All black folks like to say what's in Psalm 30. Y'all know what's in Psalm 30? Give me Psalm 30 and 1. I ain't even saying it to be funny because this verse right here that we going to get to is not a verse that's messed up for black people to say because it's a good verse. I ain't going to tell you no lie. Jeremiah James Bird. After a while, I'm going to have to just call you by your real name. When you become a man. Psalm 30 and 1.
It said, I will extol thee, O Yahuwah, for you have lifted me.
You did what?
You have lifted me up.
That's right.
And has not made my foes to rejoice over me.
You may not make my what?
My foes.
You know who our foe is? Death. And he can't rejoice over us no more. Come on with it.
O Yahuwah, my Elohim, I cried unto thee, and you have healed me.
You did what?
You have healed me.
What he did when he was on that tree, he said, what? My Elohim, why are you forsaking me? And get what? When his blood hit the ground, it cried out to him. And he remembered it. But see, when he remembered him, he ain't just remembered him, he remembered every one of us. Because every one of us are able to be delivered and redeemed and have our sins remitted because of the work that this man did. Because through his poverty, he made us rich. That through his poverty, we might be made rich. Because Proverbs tell you there's a man who's rich who has nothing. And there's a man who have nothing that have great riches. Let me tell you something, man. I wouldn't give a damn how poor you were. Boy, you ain't never poor. You got Yahuwah. And if you let yourself or anybody else convince you of that, then you need to walk in the bathroom, look in the mirror, and slap yourself. Get some sense in your brain. That man say, didn't he call those poor but rich in faith to be inheritors of his Malkuth to come? Don't you understand when you got faith in God, you got riches innumerable? That man said you got durable riches. His revenue, you can't compare to that. That man say wisdom is far above rubies. Ain't nothing could be compared to it. Don't you know the skill of Elohim? You can't compare that to nothing. I'm just telling you this here because, and years back, we talked about this here, the riches of God. We don't value the riches of God because you can't buy a BMW with his riches. You know what I'm saying? You can't put $1,000 jeans on. You can't flex with your friends with that. But you don't understand that that's a greater flex because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. I don't care what nobody tell you. Boy, if you got the word in you, you greater than every sinner out here. And if you don't think that, you lying to yourself. Because that's how the Lord look at it. That's what the man told you. Greater is he that is in you than how somebody in the world who live by the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life greater than you, and you got the word of God in you. Bill Gates ain't better than you. None of these rappers and entertainers is better than you. The people not better than you. They going to hell. See, I know we don't like to hear it like that, but I'm going to tell it like it is. The book tell you don't envy sinners. They got their reward. Didn't he tell you woe to the rich? They got their reward. There's a reason why he telling you that. Because you done forgot that parable with Lazarus, that in your life you might have had rough things, but in your death you'll have great things. See, that's when the people say, that's that pie in the sky. I want my heaven now. Shut your ignorant behind up, you ruthless, wicked, undeserving bastard Jew. Because you worry about spending fiat currency. Give a damn about no worthless paper bag money. Because we ain't talking about dying and going to heaven and get something. We talking about resurrecting unto life to rule with our God. See, you can't put no price on that. You can't put no price on that. That's not important to people. You know what I'm talking about? That ain't important to people. Nobody don't care. Nobody want to hear that. That's not controversial. Remember a long time ago, Tavon asked me, man, more people should be around here. What people gonna come around here for? We ain't talking about no drama. We talking about trusting in God and holding people accountable to be obedient to God. Don't nobody want to hear that. Don't nobody want to hear that. Don't you know, man, look at me. I can tell you no lie, man. If we came with gimmicks and nonsense and folly, we could draw many people. But we ain't here to draw anybody. We just here to have people. We only want people here that want to be saved. Because that means that's somebody we can rely on. If you don't want to be saved, we can't rely on you. If the man to your left and the man to your right want to be saved, you can rely on him. And when you talk about rely on him, that means your family can rely on him. Just like your family can rely on him. Oh, we don't look at it like that, man. We don't look at it like that, man. You know what I'm saying? I think Yahuwah though. Come on with it. Oh, this boy went in the bathroom. Where we was at? I don't even know.
Oh, you was about to.
What was that?
Black people Psalm 31.
Oh, Psalm 31. Hold on, Bible machine, man. That boy he had the poop. No. That boy had.
I'm right here with Psalm 33.
Psalms 33.
Thou hast brought up my soul from the grave.
You brought it up from where?
From the grave.
You brought it from where?
The grave.
That you
have kept me alive.
That I should not
go down to the pit.
Sing
unto Yahuwah,
O you faithful,
and give thanks
at the remembrance
of his Kedar.
For anger
endure but a moment,
and his favor
is life.
Weeping
may endure for a night,
but joy
come in the morning.
Didn't he just say the upright had dominion in the morning? So when y'all remember that Matthew 28:1 said they came to the grave early in the morning, didn't it? Upright had dominion in the morning. Don't you know he told you in Zechariah 14 that evening time it shall be light? And that's when he gonna return. The upright gonna have dominion in the morning. I'll let you be his thing. That's right. Hold on, let me see what my man. This the brother who I was talking about right here. What good with you, bro?
It was good, G. You said I create new heavens and new earth.
Yeah, that's just the Psalms 65 and 17. I just don't have the room to put the whole verse in. Any lesson we do, bro, we just use it. It's a verse. That's just how we do it.
This person who this I is God.
Oh, absolutely, without question. Yeah, without question. Yeah, without question. That's just how the song. It's Psalms. I mean Isaiah 65 and 17. So that's just how it reads. So, but yeah, you don't know that, but because we on you, this is a simulcast. So the clubhouse is a simulcast of the actual YouTube stream that's up there in that link. So yes, sir. So now you can put it in. That's the recycle. Unless you want to take it and put it in the trash.
I'm gonna go back to the audience and listen, G.
Yes, sir. So yeah, any video you see, bro, it's always gonna be named. It's gonna be whatever verse that we focusing on. You know what I'm saying? That's how we do it. So you see that, right? I didn't want y'all to see that how the uprighter had dominion in the moment. Because look at it, right? Because pain endured, because it's anger for a moment. Because remember the anger, if you know in Numbers 14, he said he wanted to kill all Yasharal as what? One man. And he took all that anger and wrath out on his son. You know what I'm talking about? He took that out on his son. Remember, he said, my Elohim, why have you forsaken me? He said, chasten your son while there is hope and don't spare for his crime. So his anger endured but for a moment. And they say, weeping it may endure for a night because the apostles was weeping. He said, what manner of communications are these that you are sad? But that joy came in the morning when he rose from the dead and they seen it. Shalom to you. You know what I'm saying? And they seen it. It's a beautiful thing. The opportunity to enter into the salvation of Yahuwah is a beautiful thing, not to be taken for granted. Yeah, just not to be taken for granted, man. We've been offered an excellent opportunity. You know what I mean? Now you have to sit. Now everything we talking about is those who came to David in that cave that were in debt. Did we finish Psalm 49? I think we're in verse 13. Go ahead. I think we're in verse 14. Psalms 49 and 14 there, everybody.
Yeah, that's where we start. It say, like sheep they are laid in the grave, death shall feed on them. The upright shall have dominion over them in the morning. And their beauty shall consume in the grave from their dwelling. But Elohim will redeem my soul from the power of the grave.
That's right.
For he shall receive me.
He'll do what?
Receive me.
He said he'll redeem you from the power of the grave. You know, I'm going to show you something that Jose, he said the same thing. You know what I'm saying? And I know y'all know it. Well, I think you do, but if you don't, we're going to look at it again. I'm going to read it to you, Hosea 13 and 14. I will ransom them from the power of the grave. I will redeem them from death. O death, I will be your plagues. O grave, I will be your destruction. Repentance shall be hid from my eyes. What did that mean? He's not going to turn from turning death from you. He said he's, remember what Yahushua said? He said, I make my life a ransom for who? For many. He is going to ransom you from the power of the grave. See, this is why you got to sit back and look at it, right? See, Bob Machine, I mentioned when we was in that room the other day what you said, and I appreciate it. You know what I'm talking about? Because just like I said, man, a lot of brothers don't say that, man. That, boy, you're going to have to be holy, boy. You're going to have to be Kadash to get in here, man. You're going to have faith to get in here, man. To be redeemed from that power of death. That's why I be telling you, don't let these people tell you you always going to be a sinner. They speaking death on you. That man say the wages of sin is death, but the gift of life is through Yahushua HaMashiach, boy. That's a serious thing, man. Don't let these people tell you that what you going to do going to get you paid with death. You can't get life from sin. It only happened one time, and he ain't commit no sin. He just became sin to take away your sin, so that you can have the opportunity to live. Stop letting these people speak death over you. You know what I'm talking about? Stop letting these people tell you you're going to have to die, or you always going to sin. You telling me I can't be delivered. No, that man done did that. I ain't got to live like this. I don't want to die. And we ain't talking about the death of going in the grave. We don't want that second death. I don't want that. I don't want that. You ain't finna convince me to take that. No. You know, we piss a lot of people off with this here. I've been pissing people off with this here for 13 years. You ain't finna tell me to tell people they always gonna sin. You a lie from hell. You come straight from the pits of hell. That's not the doctrine of Elohim. Yahuwah ain't never said that. People tell you always gonna sin. That man ain't never told you that. You can't keep this. That man ain't never told you couldn't be holy. Why would that man tell you to be Kadash if you can't be Kadash? He told you right there in Leviticus, man. Be ye holy because I'm holy. That's what Peter was quoting. That's in the law. How you can't set yourself apart? Because you don't want to. And instead of dudes telling dudes they don't want to do it, you telling people they can't do it. That man wicked as hell. No, don't listen to them people, man. It's a treasure in heaven for you. Now, what you going to do to get it? Matter of fact, do you even believe there's anything you can do to get it? And you know what the only thing you got to do is believe on him whom he have sent. And that's the only begotten son of Yahushua HaMashiach. I mean, the only begotten son of Abba, Yahushua HaMashiach. After that, man, you know you're going to live set apart after that. How could you not? Continue. That's right. Darius just mentioned Genesis 17:1, walk before me and be you perfect. You can be completed. And of course, we know that's being having integrity. See, this is how we know a lot of brothers weren't raised by no men, man. Because if you was raised by men, you know one of the first things a man gonna teach you to have? Some integrity. That's one of the definitions of tamim, integrity. You mean to tell me you can't walk before this man with some integrity? Well, we think it's cool. Oh, we all sinner, man. We just works in progress. Don't you listen to no goofy nigga talking to you like that. That nigga's dumb. Whole time he telling you not to smoke crack. Soon as he walk away from you, he smoking it. But you know, brother, I'm working on it, brother. You know what I'm saying? We got to help each other out. You got to be a damn fool to listen to something like that. You know how stupid you got to be to go for that? Would you listen to a nigga teach you how to clean a house who ain't never cleaned one? See, this is how you got to hit the baseboard. This nigga ain't using nothing. You know what I'm talking about? Can't get no tips from this nigga. He don't know what he doing. I just seen the chick, that junk tripped me out. She was talking about, they were talking about something about virgins. And this was a woman. She said, we don't value virgins like you do. It was sad. Because I know for a woman why she said that. Because you want some man with some type of sexual prowess, but she can't even understand why a man would value a virgin. Because it's of the purity. You know what I'm saying? But besides other things, but it's the purity. See, I didn't mention that for the actual man-woman dynamic. Don't you know what that book told you in 2 Corinthians chapter 11? You know what Paul said? That you had been espoused to Mashiach. And you know what type of woman he said you was? You know this. I just told you where it's at. If you don't know, you better go to flipping some pages. Boop just helped you out. She ain't listening though. I know it. So that means you need to look it up. Yeah, I bet you do got bad hearing. I bet you hear when Civic called. That's gonna be like a dog whistle. You don't even hear the phone beep. Don't even be nowhere near you. That's my baby. That nigga go to run it. He's like, what's going on in here? That nigga phone be on silent. See, like it's buzzing. You know what I'm talking about? You be hearing that phone buzzing too. You probably gave that nigga a special vibrator. Oh. You did too, didn't you?
No, I heard a ringtone, so.
You probably gave that nigga that heartbeat vibrate. Now you gonna do it. You still ain't looked it up yet. Tighten up on your backstroke. Okay. I told you 2 Corinthians 11. What more help you need? You gotta do it. Read it. I said second. Don't pay her no mind, y'all. She daydreaming about shit.
I believe it.
No. Definitely not a harlot. A chaste virgin. What? It's okay, baby. He gonna be back soon. And y'all can go down there to whatever pizzeria in Murray Hill y'all like to go to and eat doggone spaghetti like on Lady in the Tramp. Huh? I don't. I just said that because I want to use a Lady in the Tramp reference and I needed an Italian spot. That nigga told me, were you there? No. There was a joke embedded in that. It just happened to be accurate. So you got to be a chaste virgin. So what does that mean? That means you were born again. So when you've made yourself a new heart and a new spirit, you know what I'm talking about? Now you're pure. You're chaste now. You're not that harlot that you once were. That's why he came and died, to make you new. Let you who will be esteemed. Give me Isaiah 52. Is it 52:1? I think it is. Or is it 51? Let me look this. She said, no, I got a better ringtone for him than that. Won't hear no ding. I got music playing. I said, oh, wait. It's a song play. It make my heart flutter. I put You On There by Jesse Powell. I know about a woman, but I like it. Yeah, it's 51. I don't even see that jump on there. Oh, no. It's 52. Go ahead. It's just one verse in this. Isaiah 52:1.
It say, awake, awake, put on thy strength, O Zion, put on thy beautiful garments, O Jerusalem, the Kadosh city, for henceforth there shall no more come unto thee uncircumcised or unclean. Shake thyself from the dust, arise, sit down, O Jerusalem, loose thyself from the bands of thy neck, O captive daughter of Zion.
That's right.
For thus says Yahuwah, ye have sold yourself for naught, and you shall be redeemed without money.
You should be what?
Redeemed without
You
money.
sold yourself for naught. So you know why that is? He said you sold yourself for naught, right? That means you got creditors. You owe. Get it, Isaiah 50:1. I'm gonna get this rehash a couple things in Psalms 49 real quick. Remember, he said nobody can redeem his brother nor give him a ransom. The redemption of their soul is precious, that they should live forever and not see corruption. And then right here, verse 17, when he died, verse 15, he said he'll redeem you from the power of the grave. Be you not afraid when one is made rich, when the esteem of his house is increased. For when he die, he shall carry nothing away. His esteem shall not descend after him. Though while he lived, he blessed his soul and will praise you when you do well to yourself. See, that also show you the inklings of what Yahushua used in that parable of the rich man and Lazarus too. You see that? You see how that's embedded in there? Because the points that he said in there is right here in Psalm 49. He said, don't be scared of him, because when he died, he can't take none of that with him. You know, when Steve Jobs died, that's what he literally said. That's some of them same things. I can't take none of this money with me. So, okay, your sissy booty behind going to hell today. Boy, if he wasn't gay, he sure played a sissy well. Because he definitely looked very feminine to me. He definitely looked like he'd been touched inappropriately a few times in his day. I ain't saying that to be funny. That's just my honest opinion. You know what I'm talking about? That boy looked kind of, you know.
Y'all know the first one.
Yeah, that's just my opinion. I ain't got no evidence about that. I ain't saying that because he was rich and he was famous. He just gave me, seen him, he looks like he like some Dixie crystals in his life. And that's that. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, you know what that means. If you don't, Google it. Isaiah 50:1. Nah, look like I got a little sugar in this tank.
Thus says Yahuwah, where is the bill of your mother's divorcement?
And
where
where
I put away?
That's right. Listen to him.
Which of my creditors to whom I have sold you?
Which are your what?
My creditors.
Your what?
Creditors.
Give him creditors in Hebrew. Remember what the book said, the borrower is a servant to who?
It's in the Shaw.
Same word in for debt in 1 Samuel 22. Say the borrower is a servant to the lender. He said, which creditor did I sell you to? He sold you to death. But you sold yourself, actually. You know what I'm saying? You sold yourself over to that. So everybody who was in debt, who owe, because guess what? You sin, you owe Yahuwah. You owe him your life. Why you think he says a day of what? Restitution. Got to pay what you owe. So I'm going to go ahead and pay it now by giving my life up. You know what I'm saying? Let me tell you something real, man. You can pay what you owe now, or you can pay what you owe later. And it's better for you to pay what you owe now because you can get everlasting life because you paid your debt. If you pay what you owe later, he going to kill you. He going to wake you up and he going to kill you again. You know what I'm saying? That's not what you want. I'm just telling you right now, that ain't what you want. That ain't what you, come on with it, man.
It says, behold, for your iniquities ye have sold yourselves, and for your transgression is your mother put away.
You see your iniquities, you what?
It says your iniquities ye have sold
You see
yourself.
how that take us back to the Jubilee? We ain't got time to talk about Jubilee and the kinsman redeemer. Because that's what happened, right? If your brother wax pope, get sold to your creditor, who you owe. Come on, 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 14.
It says, as obedient children, not fashioning yourself according to the form of lust in your ignorance, but as he which have called you into Kadash, so be ye Kadash in all manner of conversation. Because it is written, be ye Kadash, for I am Kadash.
That's right.
And if ye call on the Father, whom without respect the person judges, according to every man's work, pass the time of your sojourning in fear. For as much as ye know that we were not redeemed with corruptible things,
like what?
Silver and gold,
from the worthless,
vain conversations and traditions of your fathers,
but
with the precious blood of the Mashiach, as the lamb without a blemish and without spot.
Don't you know that man say you were bought with a price? So you got something you got to pay back. He bought that debt. So that's why those men came down to that cave who were in debt and set him over as their leader. Say, hey man, I'll give my life up if you take on my debt. Come over here to Genesis 29 and 1, man. We ain't talked about this Genesis 29 in a long time. Because the brother asked me last night, right? He was like, do you believe the nations will be saved? I say, sure. Because they linked into Adam. But then as he delved deeper into his question, it was more so, do you believe that they going to have rulership like we going to have rulership? Oh, no. No, that's not going to happen. We know that's not going to happen because he said your rulers, your governors, and your nobles will be of yourself and just what the law say. That don't mean that they won't be in the kingdom, but they can't have positions of authority because that would go against what he said. You know what I'm talking about? And that's just not how kingdoms work. When you're in the kingdom of the Medes and Persians, yeah, you can have certain offices, but rulership would be reserved for a Mede and a Persian. If you're in Babylon, rulership was going to be, yeah, he set Daniel up high, but at the end of the day, who was the main people in power? It was Babylonians. That's just how kingdoms work. That's not no slight. That's just how it works. You know what I'm saying? There's never been any such thing in the history of mankind as an equitable kingdom that all people were represented in rulership. That doesn't happen. Where have you looked at in human history where that's occurred? It doesn't. You know what I'm saying? And that's just we delude ourselves with certain. That's because some people be like, they say, I'm tired of these white folks in America. That don't bother me because I don't seek to have equality with them, and this is their land and their rulership. If you want to have rule, you have to overthrow them. That's how that works. So I ain't upset about that. I'm looking for equality. Why would they give me equality and it's their rule? Nobody's going to do that. You seen that with Pharaoh. He said, man, we're going to have to kill them, boy, lest they get linked up with our enemies. You know what I'm talking about? Because they knowing we not going to let you rule with us. And if you get down with people who don't like us, y'all going to overthrow us to try to split up what we got going on. Even when you have two kingdoms that get together and overthrow a particular land, they divvy up land and one go rule over here and another go rule over there. You know what I'm saying? They don't come over here and say we ruling together. That's just not how that works. You are correct. And Deidre said that the crazy thing is that it's only American black folks that say that. No other nationality of people on earth say that. And that is true. You don't see no other race of people who live under the authority of another people say that, make us equal with you. They either say set us free, or they just deal with being under the rulership of another person. You know what I'm saying? That's just for real. Like when you had that quote unquote Arab Spring in Syria some years back, that was a civil war for freedom. The people didn't turn around and say, oh, let us be equal with you. They said we want freedom and they were willing to fight for it. That's just how that works. Nobody who is in power. Let me tell you something about power, man. Once people get power, they don't give it back. You know what I'm saying? Where have you ever seen in human history somebody who had power and then gave power up? Absolutely. On the natural level, because we know that the Lord had power and he gave it up to pick it back. But those are extraordinary circumstances from an extraordinary individual. Because he gave up his power just to pick it back up again so that you can have access to the power that he already had that you rejected. You know what I'm saying? You talking about because we were talking about this as far as sexual liberation. You done gave women power in America. They're not giving it back. You know what I'm saying? So dudes just need to get over that because they're not giving it back. If you always felt like you were oppressed and held down and you couldn't do this and do that, and now you feel like you got power, you're not going back. No, it ain't even just the words. You've tasted what power and freedom feels like. You ain't going back. That's not how that works. Let me tell you something, right? That's right. Say we fought for equality, but they called it freedom, and it is not the same. That's what Deep said, and it's not. But check it, right? It's the same difference with the word, right? He said, he that commits sin is the servant of sin. If the Son shall make you free, you shall be free indeed. And if you've actually been free from sin, and tasted and touched the power of God, that's why he says it's impossible for those who tasted the heavenly gift to go back. Because once you've tasted freedom and power, you're not giving that up. That nigga Lil Johnny need to go on. Monica, get your husband. He talking about once you leave your mama house, you ain't trying to go back. Michael say, I am. She said, the lies you tell. She just turned to hit the lies you tell. She said, I'd rather sleep in a van down by the river in a cardboard box, drinking hot tea in a cold cup. Hey, sometimes, boy, your mama be like this here, man. I wouldn't give a damn how hard it was. I ain't living over there. Why you look at that man like that? I ain't going back over there. That nigga crazy. You know what I'm saying? But that he ain't lying though, because when you was in your mama's house, you may not have the freedom and the power that you wanted. Now you done got out and got a taste of it. You ain't going back. You don't want to get that up. Because mama be like, I don't care how old you is, you gonna be in the house by 11 o'clock. You got some people who like that. You could be 35 years old. 11:30. Mama, I'm grown. If you were grown, you wouldn't have to stay at my house. See, that's a nigga mama for you. That's what they gonna get you. If you were grown, you wouldn't have to live over here. It ain't, but that's what they do to you. To hammer home the fact that you better be in my house at 11:30. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, once you take power, you're not giving that up. You're not going back. You're not giving that up. You got women out here that now they got the power to clap booty cheeks all across the city. Where they at, what they doing, they could do it. At the Walmart, in the middle of the street. You know what I'm saying? Getting up on these people. Look here, women now, it's not like women ain't been doing it. Because contrary to popular belief, women been throwing coochie all across the world throughout all history. Let's not act like every woman in the history of mankind was just chaste. Because guess what? We just read in the book. We could read in Amos, boy. Boy, Yahuwah say, not the women though. You would say, boy, you niggas nasty. He say, boy, y'all going in the same main to defile a woman. These boys were running trains back then. Y'all think y'all doing something new. That's the thing, they're not ashamed. That's what D just said. That's the freedom they fought for. To clap booty cheeks at a restaurant. At Turkey Leg. At the Walmart. Nobody don't want to smell your coochie wind. I actually heard a woman say, if you ain't want us to twerk, why you put on that twerking music? Then you ain't got no self-control. The music just hit you, and you just, next thing you know, clap cheeks, clap cheeks. Come on, man. It don't even matter what song going on.
No, me and D was checking. Kiki White was twerking to a gospel song.
That's what he just told me. She twerking for Jesus.
Twerking for the Lord. We was like, what? She just couldn't control herself. She was clapping first, then it just started.
That's the hoe in her.
Oh, for real. No,
I ain't even being funny.
Seriously, she can never.
That's the hoe in her. Well, you go to doing that, well, that's the hoe in you. Because I know there's some ladies on here right now. They might like to clap some cheeks, but I'm going to do that at the house for my man. I ain't going to hear no gospel song and start doing it. How you think about the Lord, the next thing you want to do is clap your cheek? You think he going to be in front of you? Look at my prayerful servant.
No, really, that's a wonderful. But they be saying.
Oh, that's what that boy Jack had on there. Remember that boot? He had that song, "Drop It Low for Jesus." He said, "Hey."
Yeah, twerk for the Lord, twerk for Jesus.
Twerk for Jesus. They think he's sitting in heaven like, boy, that fire, boy. They praising me. You see him? They dropping low for me. But see, it's a two. Hold on, let me see what Mother's wrong. She said they even know they have an expiration date to rule. That's right, they do. I mentioned that for a reason, right? Because most men are horn dogs. They will sleep with anything. In general, most men will. So then you give women the freedom to have casual, unsolicited sex without shame and retribution. So that doesn't incline the men to actually be just, because now they don't have a barrier to entry to have sex, as at that one time that was kind of normal throughout the world. So now the woman, she has the freedom to live in a way that she ain't never lived before. She ain't giving that back. And though the dudes are complaining about how the women are moving, they don't really want them to stop moving like that, because some of these dudes, they don't have access to women unless the women can move like this. Because even with women moving like this, it's dudes who still don't have access to them. That's why they on the internet crying on podcasts every day. You know what I'm saying? I can't get no coochie. These women are submissive. They're masculine. Let me tell you something real, right? If a woman masculine, what you trying to change her for? You trying to deal with your underlying homosexual tendencies is what you're doing. Because clearly you're attracted to a man. You want a tranny, but you just ain't admitted it to yourself yet. I'm telling you. What did he say? Say a dude on her Facebook was telling women to be accountable for those actions and dress, and they ate him up. Yeah, of course.
Then they started saying, "What's I thought we getting raped?" He was like, "That's not what I said."
I got what he was saying, but he was just the wrong candidate for that. Like, he was the wrong person.
I ain't gonna lie to you, it wouldn't matter who would have said it. These liberated women. I'm liberated to come out the door.
You be having your shorts on.
Some people, they know not to comment on.
Well, because he be out
Yeah,
with like
he
his
fight,
body
yeah.
out. He acting a little. So that's why it was like, you be out here fighting too with your. It was a mess.
Well, how he? What he this nigga wearing?
He went booty shorts in his outfit out here.
What this nigga gay?
Well, we don't.
Dressing like that, he got
That's
to
why the girls was like the nerve of you, but you be like wanting your body. It was a mess. He be having.
I understand. I don't get caught up in that junk. I remember telling some brews some years back. They was like, "Oh, you got to correct all." I was like, "Bro, I'm not going to be on Facebook going on correcting women on posts." I'm like, "You niggas are goofy as hell." But this for me is, they felt like, let's say we seen Michael in the back, she's smoking some new posts. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to say you were doing something, you know what I'm talking about, crazy, so we just use some cigarettes. You know what I'm saying? And you walk around the corner and see her, you be like, "Michael, man, you know you ain't supposed to be smoking." That's how they feel like you supposed to do people on the internet. Bro, this not real life. I'm not checking nobody on no post, bro. Bro, I done seen grown men on Facebook post, "You ain't supposed to be speaking women. It's a shame for a woman to speak in the church." Nigga, you're on a free app. She is not in an assembly. She is sitting in her living room, maybe on the toilet, maybe in the bed, maybe in the car, putting everybody on the road at risk, talking to you. You know what I'm saying? This ain't no assembly, boy. Oh, you women unsubmissive. But she only supposed to submit to her husband. She just supposed to show respect to everybody else. I didn't want you ladies to know that too, right? If that man ain't your husband, you are not obligated to submit to him. You're only obligated, according to this text, to submit to your husband. But you should be respectful, courteous, and kind to all men. Sinner or not, saint or not, you should be that anyway. But submission, that's reserved strictly for your father if you ain't got no husband, and your husband. You know what I'm talking about? Don't be listening to these goofy dudes on here talking about, "You women need to submit." Well, niggas, you finna be paying my bills? Because if I'm submitting, that means you hitting and you paying these bills. And you ain't hitting. So you that, because it means if you hit, that means you my husband. Right or wrong. So if I'm submitting, that means you hitting, that means you my husband, that means you paying these bills, then I'll do it. You ain't my husband, I'm not submitting to you. Don't you follow behind no nonsense like that. You know what I'm saying? Don't you follow behind no nonsense like that. And then if one of you goofball niggas to my man, that nigga caping and simping, your daddy, that's why you here. Because you a damn fool if you telling these women to go around here and submit to any and every man they see. That's dumb as a box of rocks. You stupid niggas need to know the difference. Femininity and submission are not mutually exclusive. That woman can deal with you feminine and not be submitting to you. Yes, yielding to somebody else's will. Why would you be yielding to a nigga in the street? Who did our law say who would rule over a woman? Her husband. Not Willie Joe on Facebook. Not Don Juan DeMarco on Clubhouse. Your husband. For real, that's how these boys be moving. They be giving themselves all these names around here talking about, my name is Malalak Talik, nigga, your name Willie Joe. Willie Joe Brown. Your people, country as the day is long. That is your name. You don't want nobody to know your name, Willie Joe. That nigga a young, old nigga. Woo! That's unfortunate. Let's look at this last thing over here, man. I'm for real, though.
Genesis 29.
Yeah, 29:1. Go ahead.
It say, then Jacob went on his journey and came to the land of the people of the east. And he looked, and behold, a well in the field, and lo, there 3 flocks of sheep lying by it.
3 flocks, a well in the field. Listen to it.
For out of that well they watered the flocks, and a great stone was upon the well's mouth. And there were all the flocks gathered, and they rolled the stone from the well's mouth.
They rolled the stone. He went to the bathroom.
And watered the sheep.
Notice that they rolled the stone from the well's mouth. And what did it do for the sheep? It watered the sheep. And when it watered the sheep, guess what that did? It's the same as when they rolled the stone from the sepulcher. When they rolled the stone from the sepulcher, that's what allowed for the access for the house of Yasharal, the house of Yehuda, and the nations to be watered with the gift of everlasting life. Give me Zechariah 13:1, man. For this fountain for uncleanliness and for sin.
It says, in that day there should be a fountain open to the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem for sin and uncleanliness.
For sin and what?
Uncleanliness.
To wash you.
And it shall come to pass that day, saith Yahuwah of hosts, that I will cut off the names of the idols out of our land.
That's good. That verse 1, all we needed. Now, the last thing in that 1 Samuel 22, right, was to be discontented. And that was to be a soul full of pain. You know what I'm saying? You know, the book tell you the way of transgressors is hard. But then, of course, the bitterness that comes from living a hard life. And when I say living a hard life, when you live a life of sin, when you live a life according to the flesh, you pierce yourself through with a lot of sorrows. Now, of course, that's not what the text say. That's referring to when you chase after riches, you pierce yourself through with many sorrows. That's just what Paul wrote to Timothy in 1 Timothy chapter 6 in regard to not seeking after being rich. You know what I'm talking about? But I mentioned that because of that bitterness or that sorrow or that pain, or what Isaiah say, us being weary, exhausted. You know what I'm saying? See, a lot of us be angry, and that's why you need to go down to that cave with the justice of the people. You know what I'm talking about? And let that man be the captain over your life. You know what I'm saying? You be his wife and he be your husband, and let him have dominion and direct you and guide you and be that chaste virgin who's a spouse to him, because you've decided to allow that word to speak to your heart, and that he drew you with that love and kindness so that you could be made new. So you have to look at all the stuff. You got to ask, you got to look. Now, this here I ain't being funny about going to the bathroom. You ain't got to go in the bathroom. But sometimes you might need to look yourself in the mirror, look yourself in the eyes, and ask yourself if the stuff that you holding on to that's keeping you from drawing closer to God, is it really worth having? And when I say that for you to look in the mirror so you could actually look in your soul, so you can look in your eyes and see. Because, see, a lot of times, right, I know they say this here about the, you know, with the people in Hollywood talking about how they be doing it, and they don't like to look at, a lot of people don't like to look in the mirror because they don't like to look in their own eyes. You know what I'm saying? Because the people, you know, people done told you that before. But one thing you know, boy, the eyes don't lie. It take a professional, I mean a professional liar, to be able not to reveal what's going on inside of him through his eyes. You can see a pain in a person's eyes, even if you don't see it in their face. You know what I'm talking about? You can see the hurt in a person's eyes, even if you can't see it in their face. But a lot of people, they don't want to look at that hurt and pain in their own eye. That's why they don't like to look in the mirror. That's why some of these niggas don't wash their face in the morning. Because they have to look in the mirror. Some of them just nasty. Some people don't like looking at it. Because when you look in your eyes, boy, you got to be 100 with yourself. That's right. You got to look in the mirror and look in your eyes and look in your own soul and ask yourself, is this really that important? And be real with yourself. You know what I'm saying? See, we play too many games because we like to make excuses for stuff. We like to think, you know, we like to make Yahuwah this all-inclusive. Man, this man don't operate like that, man. This man got standards and procedures. You know what I'm talking about? But you know why, though? Because a lot of people ain't got no heart to check nobody. You know what I'm saying? Really tell a nigga what it is and what it ain't. Excuse me, a lot of niggas ain't gonna do that. It takes strength of character to say stuff that's gonna make you just unlikable. Let's come over here to Hebrews 13, though. I pick it up at verse 7. I'm gonna have you jump because you're gonna have to get into this Leviticus. Hebrews 13 and 7. Remember them which have the rule over you, which have spoken unto you the word of Elohim, whose faith followed, considering the end of conduct. Notice who he said that. He told you to record, to bring to remembrance those who got rule over you. See, this is the thing what a lot of people don't want to realize when you're dealing in the congregation, man. You got apostles, you got prophets, you got evangelists, you got pastors, you got teachers. They got rule over you. But remember what we talked about. They ain't supposed to rule over you with rigor, because that's what our law say. We all servants of Yahuwah. That's why I say you got one master and you're all brethren. So though this man is the greatest in this particular advent as far as the job title is concerned, he's not to rule over you with rigor. That's what our law say. So when Peter go to talking about that, he's just telling you that because that's what the law say, because you're supposed to follow after their faith. And our example for that is Moses, because Moses didn't rule over them people with rigor. So you're supposed to follow their faith and consider the end of the conduct or the behavior that faith produced. Yahushua HaMashiach, the same yesterday, today, and forever. Be not carried about with diverse and strange doctrines, for a good thing that the heart be established with mercy and not with meats, which have not profited them that have been occupied therein. Now, we ended with that Wednesday. Y'all remember what strange doctrine translated to? Doris. You better ask Boot to help you out. You better make a lifeline. It sounds like Doris and Boop finna leave here tonight. She sounds like she don't know. Shoot, that 3 niggas gonna get put out. She said, I don't know. Now you involved, Glory and Dory, attorneys at law. You better figure it out. Boy, don't you do it, boy. You're capped out. It meant new. Remember what the law say? Talking about you don't worship new gods, which your fathers knew not. I thought you were asking for the way. What you laughing for? That funny to you? I'm here for your amusement? I look like a clown to you? You're lucky I don't remember the rest of the line. You don't know nothing about no gangsters, nigga. Who said that? These nuts. Joe Pesci. No, these nuts. No, Goodface. That's what Ghostface got that from when he was messing with, but he was serious though. No, I'm talking about Ghostface when he did that ticket. He used the same stuff, but he was serious though. Because that jump was funny. That nigga said, you better wipe that smirk off your face. That nigga literally did it. Woo! Hey, that boy said, you better wipe that smirk off your face. And that boy did just like this. like you did when you was a child. That's how I know when Superhead said that boy was homosexual, that was true. Because ain't no grown man gonna do this here, boy. Boy, you was a coward, boy. You'd have had to beat me up. Before I would have did that and put my hand on my face to try to do that like a 6-year-old, he'd have had to beat me up. Big Tinker to his face. No, she called it. That jump was funny because Howard Stern. That's a whole nother thing. But she called it. She called into Jamie's foxhole. Ain't that something? That tell you a lot about him. He going in the foxhole. I bet you is, you nasty bastard. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, she called it. She say, so I ain't see this here. He talking about. But one thing, he called her a lot of things. But you know one thing he ain't called her? He never called her a lie. He never called her a lie. Because, boy, if a nigga would have told they seen me split to the white meat, boy, that's what she said. I'd have been like, hold up, cuz. Hold up, ho. Yeah, that's what she said. She seen leaving. That nigga did just like this. That nigga say, he said, wipe that smirk off your face before I slap it off. That nigga. I said, boy, that whole coward, boy. He'd had to whoop me. I'd had to make, he lost his manhood right then. Nigga told you to wipe a smirk off your face and you did it. I'd have been like, hey, cuz, all due respect, you gonna have to slap me. You know what I'm not? Boy, I ain't wiping no smirk off my face, cuz. Now, you know I wasn't being disrespectful. I just was saying that your joke was humorous. I found that funny. You got some comedic talent. You might want to monetize it. But boy, you ain't finna disrespect me like this in here, cuz. This is my show. You did this on live TV. I got to talk to my mama after this. Shoot, his boyfriend. Look at verse 10, right? He said, we have an altar whereof they have no right to eat, which serve the tabernacle, for whose bodies those beasts whose blood is brought into the sanctuary by the high priest for sin are burned without the camp. Give me Leviticus 16 and 23. Leviticus 16 and 23, y'all.
It's saying Aaron shall come into the tabernacle of the congregation and shall put off the linen garments, which he put on where he went into the Kadosh place, and shall leave them there. And he shall wash his flesh with water in the Kadosh place and put on his garments.
That's right.
And come forth to offer a burnt offering and a burnt offering of the people and make atonement for himself.
And for who?
And an atonement for his people.
Mm-hmm.
And far, it said, and the fat of the sin offering shall he burn upon the altar.
Mm-hmm.
And he that let go the goat or the scapegoat shall wash with his clothes and bathe his flesh in water.
Mm-hmm.
And afterwards come into the camp. And the bullock for sin offering and the goat for a sin offering, whose blood was brought to make atonement for the Kadosh.
For those who don't know what atonement is, that's kafar. That's to make reconciliation. Go ahead.
It says, he shall carry one forth without the camp, and they shall burn it with fire in their skins and their flesh and their dung.
He that burned,
them shall wash his clothes,
bathe his flesh,
and water, and afterwards he shall come into the camp.
And the statute
forever unto you.
In the
7th month,
on the 10th,
ye shall afflict your soul,
and do no
work at all,
one of your own
country
or a stranger
that sojourn among
for
you.
On that day
the priest shall make an atonement
to cleanse
that ye may be clean
from
all your sins
before
you.
See that there? See how he told you right this here? And I'm just mentioning this here because again, this is leading you to this. He said that's burned without the camp for sin. Come back to 13 and 12 Hebrews, right?
It say, wherefore you
I got it. I would check to see who it was. Wherefore Yahushua also, that he might sanctify the people with his own blood, suffered without the gate. Because remember, they take this animal and they take him outside the house to do this. He got to go outside. So you got to go outside too. To take, listen what he say. Let us go therefore unto him without the camp, bearing his reproach. Because what was that beast taken out there for? Did it just say that he made that offering for him and for the sins of the people? So now you got to go out there and do that. That's why you can't get caught up with new doctrines and diverse teaching. See, we don't be wanting to hear that. Let me tell y'all something real, man. If ain't nobody else gonna tell you, this thing's simple. Get him 2 Corinthians 11:1. This thing's simple. This way is not difficult. It's not complex. 2 Corinthians 11:1.
It said, would to Elohim, you could bear with me a little in my folly.
Let's bear with me a little bit.
And indeed bear with me.
Mm-hmm.
For I'm jealous of you with the godly jealousy.
That's right.
For I've espoused you to one husband.
That's right.
That I might present a chaste virgin
That's
to,
right.
to Mashiach.
That's right.
But I fear lest by any means, as the serpent beguiled Eve.
That the serpent did what?
Beguiled Eve.
That the serpent did what?
Beguiled Eve.
Listen to him.
Through subtlety.
Through what?
Subtlety.
That's a little slickness now, a little bit of game.
So your mind should be corrupted from the simplicity which is in the Mashiach.
So what?
The simplicity that is in
Give him
Mashiach.
simplicity in Greek. And you could give him subtlety. Give him subtlety in Greek first. Then simplicity.
Adroitness, trickery, sophistry, craftiness.
Craftiness, a little trickery. Now give him simplicity.
Singleness, sincerity, generosity, bountifulness, singleness, liberal.
Straightforward. Straightforward. What was the commandment in the garden? It was straightforward. Don't eat that tree. Don't fool with that one over there. This thing is simple. We complicate it. See, one thing I learned about human beings is we like to make that which is simple harder than what it need to be. This is not a difficult thing. Believe and obey. That's it. See, we were talking about this yesterday, right? Because we've been talking about this here, with the new heaven and new earth. Remember what Peter said? We who look for righteousness, look for a new heaven and new earth where righteousness dwells. Well, we, according to his promise, look for a new heaven and new earth where righteousness dwells. See, like when you focus on his promises and the reward of salvation and the gift of life that come through his death and resurrection, you don't get caught up in all this other stuff these niggas be talking about. So we wouldn't be over here arguing about Trinitarian doctrines and oneness and all the other stuff that niggas like to talk about. You know why? Because we frankly don't give a damn. You know why we don't care? Because we're focused on the promise, because that is the driving, motivating factor. I want to eat from the tree of life. I want to look him in his face and his name be in my forehead and there be no curse. I want to walk in a city where the streets are made of pure gold that look like transparent glass. You know what I'm saying? I want to be in a spot where there's no death, there's no pain, there's no crying, there's no sin, there's no nothing. Be in a place where I don't even remember the pain and sins and death of the previous world, because it won't even come to mind. Because I've been a part of a new creation. Amen, Sister Kelly. You know what I'm talking about? Because we ain't even got to that part, because y'all, that's the best part. The new heaven and new earth is the best part, because it's a completely new creation. It's a new light. Because the light that's out there now, it's say the light that's going to light up that place is going to be the light of Elohim and the Lamb. Because it said they ain't going to have no need for the sun and the moon. But Elohim going to lighten it. That's a whole nother set of creation. A whole nother set of creation with the tree of life. A whole nother set of waters. Because guess what? It won't be no more firmament. Because there ain't going to be no need for firmament. The firmament is to keep you from his throne. That's to make a separation between him and you, so you can live. There'll be no need for that separation between him and you for you to live. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be, because remember, right, in Psalm Isaiah 65, I don't know why I keep saying Psalm, and Isaiah 65, don't he tell you that the wolf and the lamb are lay down together? Well, that's the new animals that's being created, because this is after new heaven and new earth. These animals are not even operating according to their original makings. See, that's new creature, whole new create all over again. You understand what I'm saying? And then on the sixth day, he made who? He made man. Now you've been made over, because now you are in the exact image and likeness of Elohim through and through in completion. Meaning you are Ruach, just like him. You're eternal, just like him. You are literally going to be in his image and likeness. Indeed, Darius. So when you see that, that's what I'm telling y'all, like, he going to redo the creation from the beginning at the end. And it's going to be along the same lines, but better. So we'd rather focus on that. You know what I'm saying? We'd rather focus on, okay, it was prophesied that this man was going to come and perform a work. We want to focus on the work that he did and the benefit that we'll receive if we believe on him, have the scripture have said from said work. See, we'd rather worry about that. I don't give a damn what these niggas be out here arguing about. Dude asked me that the other day, man. He was like, yeah, man. I told him, I said, bro, I'm going to be honest with you, bro. I don't know what these dudes be out here teaching, bro. Because I don't be listening to dudes. I don't be trying to figure out what dude's teaching, not out of any arrogance. I'm focused on what I'm doing. So I don't have time to be moving around trying to find out what he doing and find out what he doing. Because if I'm worried about what he doing and what he doing, guess what I'm not doing? Focusing on what I'm supposed to be doing. See, to me, that ain't no different than a dude who ain't getting no money. If you worry about what he making and what he making and what he making, how you got time to focus on what you making? I'm worried about getting money for myself. Because, you know what I'm saying? Like I say, and that's not to say that dudes, that's why I mentioned that earlier. Like, I ain't had nobody in mind to say, hey, you better check these, because I don't know what dudes be teaching. I don't be in and out people clubhouse room trying to figure out what they teach. I ain't scouring YouTube looking for dudes' teachings. You know what I'm saying? I might run across one and then that be that. And then it's dudes who I know. You know what I'm saying? And even them, I don't be following behind with it. Get what? And they don't listen to everything I do either. That don't mean nothing. I don't feel offended. You ain't watch my video? Like, how goofy junk is that? He got a whole congregation he got to run. He got a whole congregation he got to run. That's not how they operated. So we focus on what we focused on. What other brothers doing, if it's Yahuwah's will, let it prosper. You know what I'm saying? But we ain't got time for that. We'll get Isaiah 42, y'all will, tomorrow. Hallelujah for Yahushua in the word, man. I appreciate y'all time. I bless y'all the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua. Yahuwah willing, we'll pick this up on tomorrow, man. You know, just weigh and consider. Make sure, man, you get your soul solidified, man. Get what you're looking for. And all that good old stuff right there, man. But I love y'all. Appreciate y'all, man. Yahuwah willing, man. Tomorrow, man, we'll be back at it. Shalom, Brother Nate. So, YouTube, man, y'all willing? I'm gonna get with y'all later. Clubhouse, and you know y'all got something. If not, we are out of here.